Calgary Flames. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers will have the pregame at 8:30 and the face-off at 9 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. The Bruins are 1-2 on the trip so far after a blowout win in Vancouver last weekend. Patriots players will be back at practice tomorrow. They play in Buffalo Sunday in their final road game of the season. The kickoff of that game against the Bills has been flexed from 1 o'clock to 4:25. On Monday Night Football, there were two games. Minnesota beat Chicago 30-12, and Atlanta held off Las Vegas 15-9. In other NFL news, Detroit Lions running back David Montgomery needs season-ending knee surgery, and Patrick Mahomes has been diagnosed with a mild high ankle sprain for Kansas City. They'll play on Saturday at home against Houston, and then 4 days later on Christmas Day in Pittsburgh. And Sacramento State is in the process of moving up to the FCS level of Division I football. They spoke to former NFL quarterback Michael Vick about becoming their new head coach. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Service Credit Union. They've teamed with Charlie McAvoy again this season for 73 reasons to defend New England's first responders. Visit servicecu.org/73. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
New England plays here.
Down the right side, there's a separation. Touchdown pass. Yes. Perfect dive from Drake May.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Fred, hello. 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 Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Super about with a football.
98.5. The Hub.
Bruins are back from the West Coast.
Cocaine and hookers. Yes. Na.
Is it okay to use this for the radio?
Yeah. Welcome to the show, you sweet bitch.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are the Toucher and Hardy Show. Town Fair Tire Studios. You can watch us on YouTube. Simply search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. And the show's live with a chat, which Hardy moderates. And then you can watch clips and shows throughout the day.
Oh, I tapped Fred.
Hey.
You and I both know I do not moderate that chat. I do like to go on and see what's going on. I lasted about 15 minutes yesterday.
Hey,
Good for you.
that's a record.
There were one or two people on there. I'm like, I don't know why you're here. If you dislike the show so much, just don't watch.
Well, it
Don't
doesn't
listen.
really matter as long as it's being consumed. I mean, it's a
I know,
winning
but
battle.
it's not healthy for me to.
No, I don't look at
it.
the YouTube chat. But the thing is, and I'm no, healthy person. I just don't. I've never gotten into the habit of looking at it. I don't look at it. And I imagine yesterday with my stories and everything was a real situation.
Bingo.
And so, but as long as they're listening, who cares? And we're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 617-779-0985. We need to tighten things up around here.
Yeah, agreed. Why?
Things have gotten out of hand. Okay. I came in this morning, and Felger and Maz, they're on TV, so they're doing visual things, and they're wearing paper bags on their heads, and okay, that's great. But we got to get it together around here, or things are going to go real. This is going to start tanking soon, because they have the paper bag with the eye and the nose, a mouth hole cut out, like the Jet fans wear and the Saints fans wore, and Tampa Bay fans
Lions
wore.
fans were famous for the paper bags over their head on the Thanksgiving game.
I think New Orleans is the most famous for the I think New Orleans might have come up with the paper bags. I'm not Tampa Bay maybe. Tampa Bay or New Orleans I think came up with paper bags, but who knows? But there's two Pat Patriot stickers by the mouth hole. But then it says written on it, the Pits. Mm-hmm. So they could have chosen any language to express their dissatisfaction with the Patriots. First of all, it's very funny that they've made paper bag faces. That's very, very funny. If I was to turn that on, I would say, this is something. This is some innovative stuff. But they wrote the pits. Now, let's investigate the pits. Mm-hmm. I made the point to you guys, I had not heard the term the pits since, I believe, Happy Days. And that was a good linguistic decision by me because I Googled the origin of the term the pits. The expression the pits and in the pits arose from out of 1950s college slang and derived from the notion of smelly armpits. So this is stuff that people who are now long dead came up with. People matriculating on all-white campuses in the early 50s came up with this terminology, and then it died out. These are pre-baby boomers. These are the people that made the baby boomers.
This is died out in 1958.
Yeah. The pits. Mm-hmm. Which makes me think of how many things were workshopped before the pits got on there.
You don't think that was a unilateral decision by one of them? Saying,
no, I think that they had to. They're known to say, that the language they use annoys me. What are they like? What is the thing that annoys me that they say instead of just swearing?
Fakakta.
No, I don't like that he feels he's so loose with the Yiddish.
He's verklempt.
Yeah,
yes.
but then someone told me like his mom's Jewish, so maybe I guess there's a past there. No, but they use like stuff to express negativity.
So got porked.
Porked, yeah, I don't like porked.
Okay,
like I don't like that. Like, and they go porked. Like I don't like that. And the pits. We got to get it together because now this is reflecting on us collectively. If you get it in trouble for something outrageous or something that you said that you mean, then that's great. But we're now using 50 slang. Radio's in enough trouble as it is. But now we're in considered by some.
We're taking it back to when radio was king, Fred.
Yeah, I mean, why don't you just have the Big Bopper on?
Hello, baby.
Is this to garner the favor of Kraft or put it in language that Robert Kraft will understand?
Sure. Now, do we know that it was Felger and Maz?
Oh, no, it was Scott. Scott and Bertrand wrote the pits on a paper bag. Come on. That screams. That's so Felger and Maz, not Jim Murray. But that's either Michael Felger or Tony Maserati. There's no question about it. I would bet. And there's no way it's Joe. Joe doesn't know the term the pits.
So Zolak had that bag on his head, and then the afternoon show left it there for the TV audience.
Right, exactly. Like, and then Zolak wrote the pits, and you know Zolak better than any of us. Zolak uses real language.
Well, he would also be much more artistic with his paper bag.
Oh,
design.
It's a good point. There'd be a drawing on there. Or
yeah.
something.
He actually is very talented with that. Be Real says Felger got into it with a caller yesterday and told him to sit on it.
And had trouble with the lights. He banged the wall over the light switch, and the lights came on.
Well, he said Mayo was 4 corners. I mean, I don't know, a real square, an L7. He didn't know what was going on.
4 corners.
He was a Weisenheimer.
It's a real square.
Yeah, that's from the Sandlot. Don't worry about it. Well, and the guys who said this were of the era of the Sandlot.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're, I wouldn't say this to Maz or Felger's face, but I do mean this. like this one, I mean, because I said it to you guys off air, and I truly believe it. We gotta tighten things up around here. like we gotta not age out so badly. Like the pits.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you this, I like Felger and Maz. I like all the shows on here. I like Felger and Maz. I told you I liked McCone and Barth and Jim Murray. I thought it was good on Friday. Mm-hmm. Enough to make a point of it. But there is a collective, thing with the radio station that if we start with the pits, we're really really aging out like our entire audience. Because say 25 to 54 is the biggest demographic.
That's
I mean, you're not even appealing. You're Like you're not even appealing to a 70-year-old.
Yeah.
Like if you were in college in the 50s, that means you were born in the 30s.
Yeah.
So you're dead.
Yeah. You'd be 85, basically.
No. My parents were born in 1942. They're 82.
My dad was born in 1937.
Yeah, I guess 37.5.
Yeah.
So he's 87. Okay,
Yes.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, whatever. Suffice to say, it's old.
Yes. Very. Yeah.
And-
We're
and-
appealing
and-
to the 74 to dead.
And
listeners.
a lot of times I'm just thinking, try to be funny and like whatever on the air. I really mean this. Like that's got to go. I'm not going to do it because it's not my business. But if I was the program director, I'd be like, you got to get out. I'd be like, you got to cut that out.
So you're saying if they don't knock it off, they're going to be cruising for a bruising.
Well,
Yeah.
that's right. I'm going to say that's not what cool cats are doing.
You know what? I'd call the boss and see what he has to say on the matter.
I mean, but then they might say,
You're not getting it.
Damn it.
you're not getting it because I'm too focused on this. They might say, if I called the boss though, that I had it made in the shade, and that what am I worried about? You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at 50 slang and trying to incorporate it.
If they really like doing it, though, and then they're unable to do it, they're just going to say, oh, rats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm afraid if I confront Maserati, he's going to offer to give me a knuckle sandwich.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on.
Well, you're sitting here giving him the business.
You don't want them to call you a party pooper.
Yeah. You're giving
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
You're giving them what for?
It's true. I mean, I mean, let's put it this way. Larry Mondello on Leave It to Beaver said, update your slang, Beaver, when he called something the pits. I couldn't be more serious either. Maz is always bothering you. Tell him enough with that. If he wants to do visual gags, that's fun. And by the way,
Does Maz impress you the type of person who is looking for notes from other people?
Yes.
On his performance.
1,000, unironically, not kidding, 1,000,000%.
Okay.
Oddly enough, there is that part of him.
That he will then put into action.
I think that if you told him that, he would absolutely put into that action. It sounds like he asks your counsel on a fairly consistent basis.
Yeah, but he doesn't. I told you about the most recent one where there was a very simple solution to his quandary, and he would not take it or follow the advice.
Yeah. Maz's voice was bugging him. That everyone knows. He talked about it on the air. I heard him talk about it, so I'm not throwing you under the bus. But Maz's voice was screwed up. I don't know why he called you and not me.
Well, because we're friends and we talk.
Yeah, I know, but it's not like I'm enemies with him. Like I had a vocal problem. I could give him a doctor.
Yeah, but he called me and said, "What do you do when you lose your voice?" I said, "Well, not to jinx it, but it hasn't happened to me in a professional level, but." And I said, "Is that something?" Yeah, I've been off for a couple of days. I'm sorry, I really haven't listened. I saw you on TV during the toy thing. So, well, what did the doctors say? Well, I said, hold on. A 5-second Google search would tell you should not be talking anymore. Yeah, I know that's what they say. I said, okay, bye. Well, stop talking. If you're really losing your voice and your voice is an issue right now, you're not supposed to talk. You're supposed to rest your voice. Shut up.
You know what
Why are you calling me and talking?
It said your voice, Ensville. That's what he should have said.
I said,
It said
man,
burn rubber to the nearest doctor.
I said, man, I got to split, but well,
I'm telling you, we got to tighten things up around here, or no one's going to ever listen to the radio again.
Quit being a wet rag.
Yeah.
Well, that's just mean towards women. I'll tell you this.
I'm looking for images or anything online posted yesterday with that paper bag with the pits. I'm not seeing it.
Well, it's certainly displayed to be picked up by cameras.
I want evidence that it happened.
Okay, well, I don't think it went viral. What are you looking for?
Do you think
the huge mass of publicity that generated for the station?
Do you think somebody who's in charge of the station's social media accounts was savvy enough not to post it?
I would hope.
So. I would hope so.
Considering they know how to use social media, do you think the unknown comic, they were afraid that he would sue them, or the whole Gong Show enterprise would sue? And that's a reference that I'm not even sure if I should use, and that's from the 70s.
Yep, he used to kill the unknown comic.
He wore a bag on his head, you understand?
Yes.
So, and the joke was he wasn't funny, much like that brag. All right.
I went as the unknown comic for Halloween once.
That's actually kind of funny.
How old were you? What
I was
year was this?
I was probably 6.
Yeah.
I mean, my
Oh, that's
obviously,
funny.
yeah, obviously,
Did you wear like a polyester suit?
yeah, I had like a little sport coat, and I wore the bag. But I had watched the Gong Show. I used to watch it with my mom. I'd come home from school and we watched the Gong Show. It was on at like, I don't know, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I didn't understand why it was funny. I just knew that there was something funny about it. So yeah, that was my
Nice.
Yeah, there was a lot of that with kids. Like I remember thinking that it was funny that Otter became a gynecologist after the Animal House, having no idea what that meant. I just was like, I was trying to tell my parents, like, I know that's funny. Anyway, I thought it was the Ginchiest, to be honest with you, which is from the Sally Field show. The first one, Gidget.
Oh, well.
That's the Ginchiest.
Wait till you see my Gidget. You want it for your Valentine.
All right. But can we all agree that that's got to go? I'm not going to touch it, but we all have to agree that we got to tighten things up if that's going to be. If we're going to do things, let's err on the side of more offensive than just antiquated.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
The whole idea is to pits.
And we'll leave you with that. Even John.
It was a good delivery,
Even
John.
though I know it was.
Thank you.
Even though John is an AARP member, he even knows that this is.
You guys are getting the letters, aren't you? In the mail.
No,
both of you.
not yet. I haven't.
You
yet.
are. I know you are. You've gotten the mail. You got that.
I'm going to get it soon.
Join AARP. How is it, Hardy?
I turn 50 next month. I mean,
know.
I'm going to start getting
Hardy's
it.
already blown
I
through that stop sign. It's there.
I already have for my 16th birthday a full-on prostate exam. That's right after the show. I'm going to a prostate exam, and then I'm going to pretend I'm just going to doctor shop to keep getting them. I'm just gonna keep going. Like, you know how some people get opiates, they'll go to like a bunch of different doctors.
I wouldn't blame you. That's the best I've felt in the last 10 years was when I had the colonoscopy. It was fantastic.
No. The colonoscopy, they insist on knocking you out.
Oh, you're just talking about the digital prostate exam.
No, I've had 2 colonoscopies. I don't mind getting a colonoscopy at all. Colonoscopy, yeah, they knock you out. Anything they knock you out for, who cares?
You and I had this conversation because the last time I went in for a physical, my doctor told me at the end, he goes, I know you'll be very disappointed, but no more digital prostate exam. It's been determined that it's not an accurate way of really gauging anything and blah, blah, blah. And then like a week later, you went in and got one. Like
No, I didn't. I've never gotten one.
Oh, well, I was talking to somebody.
John.
Wasn't me. You want to talk?
John
I
gets
talked to okay, so I talked to somebody, and I talked to you more than anybody. I talked to somebody immediately after that, and they said, "No, my doctor hasn't gotten that memo. That is not that email is unread in his inbox because he just did it to me yesterday."
I got that. My doctor feels the same way as your doctor. I wouldn't get it anyway, but my doctor feels the same way as your doctor. I'd make him knock me out for it. I got a thing from when I was a kid with the doctor and that. And I can't do it. I've talked about it before. I don't feel like talking about it again. But it's like a huge phobia of mine. But they said that they didn't have to do it, but the reason I don't bring it up on the air, Hardy, is welcome to your inbox for the rest of the day.
Oh.
Is hysterical doctors telling you that
Okay.
that everything you need to do and that you need to let them insert a finger in you.
Never anything back there. Never was with a woman who had recently read something in Cosmo and thought that
I have, and then I will like
the SWAT.
Yeah, the SWAT. Like sometimes they'll touch the area between.
Oh yes, the tuppy.
I don't know what we're allowed to call it. Just certainly not the pits. And then that worries me. But I don't want to seem uncool.
Because they're getting into,
But they're getting into that territory.
Right.
No, when I was a kid, I had that terrible intestinal thing, and I was like basically, my mom, in all her wisdom, took me to a walk-in clinic, and the guy shoved his hand up there, and I woke up in the hallway with them giving me smelling salts, and my mother hysterically screaming and yelling.
Saying it was your fault.
I don't know what she was upset about. Who knows? I'm remembering a bunch of stuff she did. Like I was telling my kids yesterday, I walked by, when I was a kid, I walked by her office and she was on the phone going to a psychiatrist. And I don't know, he still sleeps with a baby blanket I don't know what's wrong with him. And I heard that, and then so I put my baby blanket away. I'd been sleeping with a baby blanket.
Oh my God.
I just remembered that. Yeah.
It just kind of bubbled up to the surface?
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what's doing. The longer it's been since I've drank, the more these memories keep flooding back.
Well,
I'm starting to remember, my brain is starting to slowly get back into functioning, and I'm remembering all these things. No, I always remember that. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
So this holiday season, do something the wise men would do. Give
last night.
Hey, we're Dutcher and Hardy. Hardy, what's going down? What's up? Yeah, there it is on Felger and Maz. There's the pits in front of Tony. And he's got a blue sweater on with a collared shirt underneath it, and he's talking about it's the pits. Hey, yeah. So there it is. I think that Fowler put that on for us.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Who's directing the Felger and Maz show these days? Because that is a visual element as well. Is it Vinny? Is Vinny still running Felger and Maz over on the NBC Sports
All I know
side?
is it's a tour de force.
Well, he's
not great.
I don't want him to take any shrapnel from this, or people are going to start calling him a real drip, for allowing that on camera.
Well, listen, it is what it is, and it's got to get cleaned up.
Monday Night Football last night, a slam bang doubleheader between the Chicago Bears visiting the Minnesota Vikings. And the Vikings, of course, are a good football team. They're part of that NFC North. That is, 75% world beaters. But then you had Atlanta visiting Las Vegas last night. Wow, what a couple of contests. Where could we possibly start? I guess we'll start with the Vikings.
Darnold, straight drop off play action to the end zone and touchdown! Justin Jefferson with a 7-yard touchdown from Sam Darnold.
Okay, so that's the one football team that was playing last night. I thought the Falcons were a football team earlier this year, but it turns out they're not. So Minnesota improving on their season. They're now 12-2. We just heard Justin Jefferson there, who had this to say after the game. I love you, Randy. That's for you. That may have been actually after his touchdown, as he was giving a shout out to Randy Moss, who we know is dealing with some very serious medical issues right now. But that was the sound there from Minnesota, where the Vikings get the win. 30-12 over the Chicago Bears.
Sam Darnold, 27 touchdown passes in his last 4 years, 29 touchdown passes this year. Made himself a lot of money. A lot of money.
The Vikings won 7 in a row. They were tied with the Lions. Now they're behind them in the standings because of whatever metrics they're using. But they, I know they lost head-to-head against them, but I'm not sure what it is. But that division's pretty good. 10-2 Lions, 10-2 Vikings, 10-4 Packers. 12-2, 12-2, and 10-4. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got Caleb Williams, according to Mr. Aikman.
Been watching Caleb Williams during the break. He told us he is healthy but fatigued, the kind of year that it's been, and he got that big hit and was kind of laying down over on the bench for a moment, then able to sit right back up.
And when you're having the year that they're having, they're that much longer. He was grimacing in an enormous amount of pain, and as I watch him, you can tell that he's a defeated guy.
Well, that's great. That's what you want. So be glad you have Drake May. Drake May's not defeated. Drake May's on a worse team, too. And he's able to not behave like that. That was the question with Caleb Williams, was his mental toughness. And who knew, you could say things like, he cried in his mom's lap in the stands and stuff. But if he's defeated his rookie year while he's learning the NFL, and that's not enough of a challenge to him because they're losing. And what's funny to me about a quarterback losing is that short of Joe Burrow, it's on you. You are the most important player on the field. You are so far and away the highest paid player on the field generally. If you're any good, get it together. You win the game. If I got news for you, if Caleb Williams is playing like Joe Burrow, they're not 4-10.
Just you look at what he has available to him as opposed to what Drake May has available to him, and they only have one more win.
Right. And
that's remarkable.
So Caleb Williams was talking about it after the game last night, and he was saying that he's encouraged by certain things, when they do execute, and he's got good teammates. And he said as much. He's like, we've got some weapons, but it's frustrating because, and this is an issue with a lot of these guys coming out of college, they don't know what it's like to lose at all. Maybe a game here or there throughout the course of a couple of seasons, but 7-8 losses in a row, he's literally never dealt with that in his football life.
Yeah, well, by the way, Odunze's dad's talking crap about him, too. Did you see that a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Rome Odunze, someone said on the internet, how would he have 1,000 yards if he had a different quarterback?
Yeah, he would.
Odunze's dad said he'd have 1,500.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course he would.
Yeah. So Odunze, who's a rookie, is also on board with getting after Caleb Williams.
The Bears' offense is averaging fewer yards per game than the Patriots' offense.
There's no excuse for that.
How is that possible?
Because the Bears' offensive line's not great, but, I mean, the Patriots' offensive line is putrid.
I know, and the Patriots had Jacoby Brissett at quarterback for a while, and they're still better.
We sit in here Monday after Monday and give them credit for things like the opening drive. Or remember that one time in the third quarter when they got 2 first downs and they actually moved the ball 55 yards?
Let's throw a party.
Before they missed a field goal. That counts as reason to celebrate, and they have more yards offensively than the Bears.
292 yards a game for the Patriots, 289 yards per game for the Bears.
And by the way, if you're Caleb Williams and you haven't lost a lot, first of all, he was no world beater in college in terms of, they weren't winning national championships at USC or wherever the hell other schools he went to before that, if anywhere. But the thing is that you're the franchise. You are the franchise. They've handed the franchise over to you. So, you have to accept what's going on as your responsibility. That's a big red flag. He's not used to losing like that. Well, okay. Well, it's your responsibility now. So you're a leader, and leaders lead through bad times, or there's no need for them. If you're a leader and you're not a leader if you just walk into a situation, it's great, and then you just ride it out for the rest of your life, and then there's never any ups or downs. There's no scenario that's like that.
Pretty much every number one draft pick, or a whole bunch of them, one in high school, one in college, they've been superstars, and you know what? They go to a bad NFL team, and they generally lose when they first start, and the great ones kind of pulled themselves out of that.
Well, Aikman, who was talking about him, won 1 game his rookie year.
Peyton Manning, I think, won 3. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah,
really?
Well, but Aikman's talking about him like he's defeated. Well, yeah, Aikman was on a 1-15 team. I know that for a fact. And then they made the Herschel Walker trade. If it wasn't that year, then they made the Herschel Walker trade, and then they, turned it around. But Caleb Williams, it's a big issue. If he's just... Because I can understand if you're a receiver, you're running back, if you're like a linebacker. Like, I understand that because you can't completely, especially receiver, you can't control the game. You can't make the quarterback get you the ball. I can understand being frustrated. You're the quarterback. The ball's in your hands. You do it. If you're so great, you do it. Someone's open somewhere, or you take off with your legs. You do something to will that team to victory. You might not be a over 500 team, but you'll certainly be. You won't lose how many games they've lost in a row.
They're 4-10. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and check the all 22 on that game last night because Rome Odunze, for whatever critiques he's had of the play calling the pass. What's that?
7 losses in a row.
He had 7 targets last night, but only 2 catches. So again, that can be misleading.
It can be completely. I mean, the target can just be the ball was 20 yards over his head.
Exactly,
yeah.
but
that doesn't mean drops.
Yeah, it's not great. Also not great. The Falcons visiting the Raiders last night. Oof.
Are there highlights from this game? There was a safety. I know that.
There's one.
Cousins in the pistol again. Thought about it. Stop and go. Take the shot. Caught. London. Touchdown. Atlanta. I'm sitting up here with the man.
What? I don't know. I'm glad they were rolling tape.
Son of Sam?
I'm glad they were rolling tape on that last night. On one of Kirk Cousins' 11 completions last night. He was 11 of 17 for 112 yards. Touchdown and a pick.
30 on one play, by the way.
Yeah, so the Falcons.
Yeah, they got
30 of his 112 was on one play.
Falcons beat the Raiders 15-9. Oh,
And that includes a safety. Look, they won, and I think technically they're still in the hunt for a playoff
Oh, they're in
spot.
the hunt.
oh yeah.
But they can't go out and play Cousins again, can they?
No.
You have to put Penix in there next week, don't you?
I would attempt. We've seen what it's done. Bryce Young sat, Richardson sat. Like, just maybe give Cousins like a rest week. I'm not kidding. And then, give him a week to rest and get it together. Say it's 1 week. Put Penix out there and see what happens. Because, yeah, if you don't make the playoffs, if you're Atlanta, in that division, with the investments you've made in that team and the coaching change that you made, there's big problems.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins stating the obvious here.
I need to play better. I don't think that's a mystery. I think the last few weeks, I would say, I need to play better, and so, that's Raheem says it, but it's stating the obvious, and every week you kind of go through your process and you plan to go out there and play the very best you can, and so this week will be no different.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
No, it should be.
Yeah. 4 years, $180 million, and he just started it. I mean, they have at least another year before they can try and get out from under it.
It's like a year, I think, that's left. They play the Giants next week. That would be the game that I would play Penix in, because you're not going to lose that game. So I'd play Penix in that game. Say we're giving a veteran's week of rest which with the 17-week season, I don't even think is ridiculous. Like, if you rest a guy, like he's struggling, we're going to rest him for a week. Give him like a mental break, physical and mental break. I bet you they start doing that in the NFL. With Bryce Young, because it used to be unthinkable. I mean, going into this year, it was kind of unthinkable. Once you bench a guy, he's benched. But I think that you can do that. It's proven to be a healthy. Why not? If it's a grind and there's all that physical punishment, why don't you give a guy a week off? You do it for baseball, you do it for basketball, you do it for hockey.
Well, it's funny when you say once you bench a guy, he's benched, and then I'm thinking about the last year Mac Jones was here. How many times did they bench him and bring him back?
A couple few.
The problem with Mac Jones is his innate inability to play football.
So you're right. They should be able to beat the Giants regardless. The problem for the Falcons is then they have to go to the Commanders, and their last game of the season is against the Panthers, who aren't winning any games, but they're giving games to good teams.
Yeah. They haven't quit. That's for sure.
No, they only lost to the Eagles by 6. They gave the Chiefs a game here a few weeks back, so it'll be interesting to see how the Falcons finish up.
Let's see how the Buccaneers' schedule goes, and then we'll go to break. The Buccaneers finish Cowboys, Panthers, Saints, and they're a game up on Atlanta. Oh boy, not great for Atlanta. All right, we will be back in just a moment. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Bruins get back to work tonight. They're in Calgary to play the
Get the app. The 98.5 The Sports Hub app.
He's elongating.
Weekday
Yeah, he
mornings.
just went.
Toucher and Hardy.
I no longer love things.
Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5
Like, let's roll the dice.
The Sports Hub. You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Sorry about that. Continue.
Oh,
okay.
My bad.
Hey,
Yeah.
we're Toucher and
Things went
Hardy.
a little silly in here.
And we are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. What else is going on, Hardy?
Gerard Mayo spoke yesterday. Once again, as we heard Kirk Cousins say a few minutes ago, they need to play better. There's some more obvious statements coming from the Patriots head coach about what he expects out of his team.
Defensively, it comes back to fundamentals, which I always talk about. You even look at the big run play. We had two players that were pretty much unblocked that probably should have made that play, and they expect to make those plays, and we as a coaching staff expect them to make those plays.
Yes, expect them to make tackles, expect to do things fundamentally, expect them to play football at a professional level.
You expect Kyle Duggar to make that tackle in the open field and not whiff as Dortch runs by him for 50 yards?
Yeah, stuff like that. He did give credit to Christian Gonzalez for being good in the game on Sunday, but he was asked about a couple of things that he had said in the post game, specifically about the play calling, about why not let Drake May take it on those short yardage situations when you're looking for first downs.
Gerard, what do you mean by defensive response to that question?
Yeah, it was just more. I didn't mean anything by it. I just was like, you said it, because I didn't want to go down that whole rabbit hole of trying to explain all those things. And like I just said, I tried to clarify that with the follow-up question, saying that all of those critical situations fall on me.
You said it, I didn't, is essentially what he answered when he was asked why Drake May wasn't getting the ball in those situations. He said he was answering it with a question.
Now, did Breer say something that the team had been looking into Vrabel? I didn't hear that. Yeah, I had heard on this station, and I can't remember where, that Breer had said something about there being talk of the team inquiring, or at least internally talking about Vrabel as a possible coaching choice, which you would assume, I think it was Felger and Maz talking about it, which obviously I wasn't watching them because I would have seen the Pitts bag that they had cut open and wrote on, and I would have said, no, this is now a sinking ship that we're using slang from the 50s. But but Vrabel would make sense. The way that you could back off Mayo, first of all, if you're a fan, who cares? I mean, it's not your money. They got to pay him out of their own pockets. It's not yours. But Vrabel, with his history with the team, the idea that you just, gave him that red jacket that you're so proud of, all those things, the idea that he's done it before, he's a veteran coach, that I think you could justify, right? Like, if you fire Gerard Mayo and then, take Ben Johnson even. Ben Johnson has never been a head coach before. There's no guarantee that he's going to be even adequate at it. If you hire Vrabel with his history of the organization, he at least can do it at a certain level of competency.
Yeah.
So I really think that and if you just quickly off the top of your head think of veteran coaches that would be available, Vrabel's the only, you have to, in my opinion, you would have to replace Mayo with a veteran coach. And Vrabel, I think, off the top of my head, is the only one that would be someone you would be interested in. And his history with the organization, you could justify it.
That's the most important part of it.
And that's the most.
This owner is exceptionally loyal to, and he said it when he hired Mayo. He said, this is my guy. He's been with me for a while, that kind of thing. No, they'd hire Vrabel before anyone else if they chose to make that move.
Well, no, I don't think they could replace Mayo with anyone else, because Mayo's fault is his lack of experience. That's what Mayo's problem is just he doesn't have the experience. We've been over this. Every writer we talk to agrees. We can talk to Callahan about it. I mean, he was in here once a week for a year. He had a lot of success in private business. He was obviously a tremendous college and pro football player, a leader of that team. There's no reason he couldn't be a coach. But when you have been splitting duties as defensive coordinator for a year or two, and then all of a sudden you're the CEO of an organization with your 85th pick at both coordinator positions. That just wasn't well thought out. And the weird thing about Mayo getting hired was not that he got hired, in my opinion. It's that you would think that with decades of history in the NFL that you would have had a plan. Like, you would have known guys and established relationships and at least been able to go in and say, this is the team around me. This is what I got to do. And we have to expand things way more than they were under Belichick. And I'm going to need a lot of help. That's a sign of intelligence too. If you realize, like, look, I don't really know what I'm doing in some of these areas. I'm going to need a lot of help. And I'm going to need to bring in really talented guys to help me. And maybe I don't make mistakes like I'm making in press conferences or in-game decisions. Go ahead.
You keep waiting. I keep waiting. He's how many months into the job now? I keep waiting for him not to make these mistakes. I keep waiting.
It's not going to happen this year.
For the learning curve to be. I would settle for fewer. Not even eliminate.
It might even get worse. Everything speeds up. And think about it. These teams with veteran coaches and veteran players, they're now geared up. Like, the first 4 weeks of the season is when you got your shot at them. We know that. That's why they beat the Bengals. Not like the Bengals are world beaters, but that's why they beat the Bengals. It's because the first 4 weeks of the season, you got a shot because you're not allowed to do anything in camp anymore.
And the last 3 weeks of camp are essentially, for a team like the Patriots, are preparing for that first game.
First game, exactly. Well, the bye didn't do much good this year. But but you're going up against teams that now have hit their stride. I just think it's going to get worse for him because we've all been in situations where we're in over our head. Like, unless there's time, it's never going to get better for him this year. He's going to need an off season and to recalibrate and get counsel of experienced people and change everything up. The whole notion of Van Pelt and the defensive coordinator coming back, I think, are ludicrous at this point. Like, it just can't happen. They need to throw a lot of, if they're going to keep Mayo, they're going to need to throw a lot of money at someone like Mike McCarthy.
More than one.
Like Mike McCarthy, or how Arthur Smith went to Pittsburgh? Like, you're going to need to do something like that. You're going to need to bring in a guy on both sides of the ball, really, but you're going to have to bring in essentially a guy who's been a successful head coach in the NFL.
They brought in Ben McAdoo, but that doesn't count.
No.
And it's tough because if to find that guy and what are the odds that guy is going to be available if he's had success in the league coaching at some level?
Peterson in Jacksonville, like he's had success and he just is going to get fired. He probably wants to work in the NFL. So like Arthur Smith, like the Jets trying to get Arthur Smith, and he said, "No, I'd rather go to Pittsburgh." If you go to Peterson and you go, "Look, he's already going to be being paid from Jacksonville. Here's an assload of money. Come and be the consigliere to Mayo, and if Mayo becomes something, why wouldn't Peterson take that job? And everyone's going to go, "He wouldn't take it. He wouldn't take it." Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he go from the Jacksonville Jaguars to the Patriots?
If he's on the beach. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He'll probably take the job. But the pool of available candidates, if you're the owner and you are looking at the bottom line and you're thinking about how much it's going to spend, the pool of available candidates is much larger when you branch out from people who have actually proven they can do the job. If you just consider everybody and you stick with people that you like and people who have been in the building for their entire career, we've got these guys, we've got this guy, Gerard Mayo. Let's just anoint him the successor to Bill.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be a year early, so be it. But we've already decided that's what we feel good doing.
Okay, but
I don't think it feels good right now.
No, but the thing is that he was never you got to get a head coaching job at some point when you've never done it. And the whole year early thing is of no consequence. He wouldn't have been any more prepared for it a year later than he is now. It's one of those things that you got to do. And it's not like Belichick was letting him in on anything.
I think the only reason they say it's a year early because they thought Belichick had one more year.
Yeah, but I agree with that. Fine. I mean, that's probably true, but that doesn't change how good a coach Mayo is going to be.
Sure.
That other year of being ignored by Belichick isn't going to make him a better coach. So you got to become a head coach sometime. You preferably like a guy who's been preparing for it. And, when these guys interview for teams, when they come in and interview for teams, they have a plan. Like they sit down with a plan of these are the coordinators I want, or if you're like really desperate for a head coaching job, the GM will go, and I don't think this is a good way of doing it. Like this is the ultimate plan, and you're going to fit into it in this way, and that's I don't think a good way of doing things. But the coach search certainly. What are you looking at?
Somebody sent me from Maz's Twitter him wearing the paper bag over his head that says the Pits.
I'm taking a picture of him putting on Instagram right now. I'm putting. I mean, come on. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
98.5. The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
The Bruins will visit Calgary tonight, the second to last game of their road trip. Bees are coming off a 5-1 win in Vancouver last weekend. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 8:30 and the face-off at 9 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. The NFL has flexed the kickoff of the Patriots game in Buffalo this Sunday from 1 o'clock to 4:25. Temperature forecasted to be in the mid-teens at kickoff. Patriots will be back at practice tomorrow. On Monday Night Football, there were two games. Minnesota beat Chicago 30-12. Atlanta held off the Raiders in Las Vegas 15-9. In other NFL news, Detroit running back David Montgomery needs season-ending knee surgery. Patrick Mahomes has been diagnosed with a mild high ankle sprain for Kansas City. The final in the NBA Cup will take place tonight in Las Vegas. Milwaukee faces Oklahoma City. The Celtics' next game is Thursday night at home against Chicago. And the Baltimore Orioles yesterday signed 35-year-old Japanese star right-handed pitcher Tomoyuki Sugano to a one-year, $13 million contract. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning. 24-hour on-call service for your clogged drain emergencies. Go to johnsewer.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Boston plays here.
Coming through the slot. Close shot. Save. Rebound. Scored.
98.5 The Sports Hub. Fred, what's it like to work with Hardy and Wallach?
What a golden ticket I've gotten.
There you have it. Toucher and Hardy resumes on the Sport.
It really is a test of will. I don't know how anyone is not, whoever is not bothered by that is a true legend. I am bothered by this paperback. I truly swear to God I am. A lot of what I do is a amplified version of myself, and I don't walk around as annoyed as I am when I'm trying to entertain. But Tony Maserati has cut the eyes and mouth hole Unknown Comic style out of a paper bag. He's very upset about the Patriots. It's hysterical. But then he wrote on the bag, the Pits. And it's got to stop.
Would you like me to take that out of there?
No, I'm not going to interrupt his things. They're his things. Mm-hmm. But I think, I swear to God, I think I'm doing him a service by calling this out and going, just stop it. You got to stop doing this. Enough with, because again, I even looked it up. This is a fraternity term for the 50s. Our audience is going to all be dead. I mean, our audience is going to be all be dead. It's really not funny. And you gotta just write the C word on it. Just do something. Other than that, yes, Adam.
It just now, and this is not to make an excuse for it. I agree with your take, but is he doing a bit of a play on words here? Did he choose that word, the Pats, the Pits? Like, I don't. It just dawned on me better. Right now.
Well, okay, two things. A, it dawned on you an hour later, and second of all, it's still the same present.
Yeah, sure.
It's way better that way.
No, it's not. It's the same.
I like it now.
Fair enough. Well, look, far be it for me to be the arbiter of cool.
Yes.
But you know what that makes it worse. Let me explain.
Because it's like a bad pun?
Well, that, and it's a pun that he's using legitimately, like, as a gag instead of being sarcastic with it. And B, like, he went, what's like Pats? Pits. They're the Pits. Mm-hmm. Ugh. You know, like sometimes, like, you know, if you have mismatched shoes on and you go out and you didn't mean to, and like your friend goes like, dude, I gotta tell you, you got to get it together and you got to put the same shoes on. Or if you're wearing like a ridiculous thing and your friend goes like, oh look, people say it to me like, you stupid hat.
If I went out with mismatching shoes, I'd feel like a real heel.
What? Where? What you gonna do with it?
See, I did it too. There's a pun. It is the Pits instead of the Pats.
Someone says, Fred. Well, that makes it worse. I put it on @FredToucher on Instagram. I like.
Yeah, you got a misspelling in there too.
Oh, I do. What did I misspell?
Everyone loved Tony Maz, but and then you swore, so you lose all credibility.
I swore to kind of like.
Don't say that part on the air, Hardy, please.
You're not allowed
Pits,
to.
And then you put the question marks outside of the quotation.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
No.
Okay, I'll put them inside.
All the people that use that slang phrase are dead or about to be. Please stop! Exclamation point.
That's all correct, grammatically correct.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I tightened it up a little bit.
Loves Tony Mazz. You gonna?
Yeah, I did it.
Okay.
You see?
I have to refresh.
I tightened it up. Thank you.
I didn't know you could edit.
All right, boomer.
I didn't know you could edit on Instagram.
Yeah, you can edit your comments. Did you see what's playing? What song I got up there? It's clever.
No, I'm looking at it here.
I got the Great Pretender. You want to hear? I'll play it for you.
Yeah, very much.
Cool.
Oh, that's good.
That was the number one song when the Pits was first used. It's concerning. There's and I know it bothers some things bother you, Adam. I know they do because we talk.
Sure.
You'll hear things on a station because we're in radio, and you'll go oof, like someone's got to come in there and clean everything up. And who am I to talk to Felger and Maz about anything? They're huge successes, but that's got to stop. They got to stop that because it's bringing everyone down.
Look,
it's a weight on everyone.
I mean, and all kidding aside, you're aiming for a younger audience. You're not aiming for an older audience
or an audience that's not going through current brain surgery that would find that even remotely clever or funny.
Part of having sustained success in our business is continuing to identify a growing audience, not to cater to a shrinking audience.
I would agree.
Yes.
Thank you. And if
How
it was
big is the audience,
and if it was something, and I swear to God, if it was something Tony said, like they're the Pits, and I was listening to it, I wouldn't have as big an issue with it, or I would forget about it. But the idea that it's being you all have to agree that it's being displayed as if look what we came up with.
Of course,
this is so funny.
Center of the desk, facing the cameras in the room.
Tony put it on as a gag, and then Jim could not have been part of this, but Felger and Maz obviously sat there and went, "All right, that's too good to throw away. You put that up there, and you leave it up there." And then, and when people tune in from out of state, they're going to be like, "Who are these wild men? Isn't this the home of the Patriots?" And they're calling them the Pits. Now I'm really angry.
But they're calling them the Pits instead of the Pats. I still don't think you get the joke.
That is not. That is often the case. Is that sometimes? You know what? That was my problem with Larry the Cable Guy. Is that I didn't get the references because they were too literary.
I interviewed him once, and he was like a funny guy, and he was good to talk to. And then at the end, he's like, "All right, well, thanks a lot. Hardy was really good talking. Get her done."
Yeah, because he had to. And he made him a lot of money.
Oh.
Everyone likes him. Everyone likes
Dance Monkey.
that guy. Yeah, but everyone likes him.
Yeah.
He could have had a real career. Bill Engvall's the one out of them that's real bad. Bill Engvall's the non-funny comedian out of the three of them. Because I would say even Foxworthy as a comedian is a good polished comic, and everyone loves the drunk one. But
what's his name? White.
White.
Ron White. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you about it. You see, we moving to Beverly Hills. My wife, my wife, she wants to. And then he talks about his $5,000 toilet seats. That's me, I don't care, but I do want you to know I got all this stuff because I'm real rich.
Yeah. He's got beautiful flowing gray hair now. Tom, you have a request for Hardy.
Hey boys, long time, huge fan, Freddie, baby. John,
thank you, baby.
Hardy, I all this talk about old timey, puns and jokes and giving each other the business. What does 1930s radio voice have to say about this? I'll hang up and listen.
Now you're on the spot. Now you figure it out.
Yeah, this isn't fun.
Yeah.
Well, Fred Toucher took to task this morning one Anthony Maserati for what he had to do with a paper bag. He gave him the sack after seeing the sad sack perched upon the counter early this a.m. So you can do it.
That was very good. Very clever. But I truly mean everything I say about that bag. I do not take it back, and I think I'm doing the right thing. This has got to go. If anyone finds it funny, I am more than happy to eat my words.
Should we give Maz the chance to defend himself on this?
No, because he'll just admit that it's dumb and he'll feel bad.
No, he will. Well, one of two things.
He's up, I'm sure.
No, Maz runs very hot and very cold.
Oh.
So depending on what moment you catch him in, he will scream "F you" on a live phone, live on the radio, or he'll get real quiet and he's like, I'm sorry, I'll take it down. You're right.
Well, he doesn't
You're
have to
right."
apologize. He just has to take it down.
Yeah, but he will apologize. He will take ownership of it, and he'll say you're right, or you will send him into a spiral, and he will hate you like poison.
I've never had a negative interaction with Tony. I don't know him that well, but I have been counsel to him in the past, and he has been very supportive of me. He's asked my opinion more earlier in his career here. Would ask my opinion on matters of radio.
How would you fight Felger? would you give him a forearm to the throat?
First 12 months.
And then try to first 12 hours.
More like how do you
It may have been the
how do you
first 12
negotiate
days.
how do you negotiate through all of this mess? Like, no, but he's not with Felger, not about how to deal with Felger in all seriousness, because I am serious about this back. He's just asked me about like negotiating radio and stuff like that, and I've never had a negative interaction with Tony, and I like him a lot personally, and I think I am doing him a favor, because if I turned on the TV and saw that, I'd be like, these guys are just the corniest people on the planet, and no matter what they say, it's just corny. It's a visual gag that's just not funny.
Which do you like better? The paper bag that says the Pits instead of the Pats with the eye holes cut out just to reset and everybody knows what we're talking about, or Bill Belichick putting on the old-time leather Navy helmet? You have to choose one.
Belichick putting on the Navy helmet was contextually correct because he was doing an ode to what's his face on College Game Day, the old Indiana coach. That's
Lee
how I know
Corso.
him. Lee Corso. He coached Indiana. Lee Corso's thing. So that at least contextually, and he was probably told to do it by some corny guy who hired McAfee. So like that, I understand. This was all, and again, if Tony came in with it and put it on, that's one thing, and that's stupid and corny. But the idea that they go, this needs to be displayed. Like, let's give everyone a shot at like having some of this rub off on them. Like, this is a home run joke.
What if it starts a movement and people show up at the next home game with paper bags and they say the Pits?
That'd show
Hardy,
you.
Name three comics you like.
I like Nate Bargatze. I like
Just anyone.
Deion Cole and frickin' Norm Macdonald.
Okay. Well, two of them could come into studio conceivably. They're coming into studio. Nate Bargatze's coming into studio. What do you do with that bag?
Oh. Well, if I want to be a good host, I would leave it up because they would have some material immediately walking in, and you can go ahead and make fun of us on the radio station.
Can you? Well, I don't want that. And can you imagine? Norton wouldn't say anything because he's too nice. Kelly, Norton, any of the Burr coming in, and you got to explain that thing. Come on, tighten things up. And that's the way I put it to you because
could you imagine Bill Burr?
Bill Burr coming in with that in there,
and then talk about it on his podcast.
Yeah, I mean, it would be so humiliating. It would be humiliating. And so if any of you were going to pretend, and then so what would stop Bill Burr from turning on the television? You'd be amazed. Everyone from Boston, regardless of their level of fame, is a Boston sports fan, and we are the Boston sports station. They tune in. They do. And so if you wouldn't be comfortable them coming into studio and seeing it, there's a very good chance they could see it on their own. And that's where you got to put yourself mentally. This is representing all of us. Because people don't go, oh, that's the afternoon show. The morning show must think that's terrible. No. But I'm not going to take it down. That's up to them. That's up to them. Or make it funny by doubling down on it or something and create something I'm too dumb to do. but there's something's got to change. And that's why I brought it up, and that's why I'm saying this. And I think I just explained it the best way I could. What if someone you respected and thought was funny came into this room and saw that this is a gag the station's doing? You would be mortified if that happened, and I know you would. John would just be looking out the window thinking about the week he's got at home before he goes on vacation. All right, I'm sorry that we didn't get to that bit, but we have a crisis on our hands.
Well, it needed to be addressed.
I swear to God, it's bugging me so much.
It didn't bug me until you brought up what if Bill Burr was going to the studio. What would you do with that bag?
That's the way you got to think about everything that's permanent. Like if you make a joke that crashes or like that's going to happen. Like if you do something embarrassing, that's just life. But committing to a visual joke over the course of days, you have to assume that someone who's cool and funny might see it. And that would be mortifying. And so there you go. Zolak. Let's just quickly go to Zolak. Scott, hello.
What Mass do?
He's got a you're not going to think it's as bad as I do, but he's got you know how like fans that don't like their teams wear a bag with the eye holes cut out, like a paper bag?
Yeah, he's done that before.
Yeah. He wrote the pits with the Patriot flying Elvises on it.
Waka Waka.
Yeah, okay, so you get it. It's bothering me. It's bothering me.
It should. Yeah.
Thank you. And it reflects poorly on you because it's on the TV. They got it displayed in studio.
They have the bag displayed right in front of where you sit, Zo. They'd be proud.
Oh, I'll rip it up.
Yeah, you can't have that in front of you, dude. You can't have that in front of you. That's that's my problem. That's my problem.
You guys still taking song requests or no?
No, it's no need anymore. call
when
Omaha in a
Fred?
year. Huh?
When you leaving?
Thursday's my last day.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, buddy.
All right.
See you later. Save it for the flyover states. All right, look. We will be back. We will have for you Gary Myers. He wrote an article. He's a legend in the New York area. I don't say that lightly. And he has written an article about Bill Belichick's interest in coaching the New York Jets, which you have to find interesting. And he will clear things up as he is very dialed into what's going on in New York sports. And we will have him on in just a moment.
Music in the morning.
Never had to knock on wood, but I never had it yet.
Oh, you said you didn't want to hear more music in the morning. Okay. Here's more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
You feel as though you might have had and would have had opportunities in the NFL?
That's a hard question to answer, Jim, because ultimately those aren't my decisions. But sure, I think there would have been some interest. But in the end, really, it's not about what there could have been or would have been. It was about the opportunity at North Carolina. And I just think this program is at the right spot now to take off. Chancellor Roberts and the Board of Trustees have made a strong commitment toward football at North Carolina. And I'm here with Mike Lombardi as our general manager to do all we can to accelerate that process. And we're going to get the team, make it as competitive as we can as soon as we can.
Mike Lombardi, the highest paid male prostitute in the history of the South. Carry a guy's balls for 10 years, and then you get paid more than the Michigan guy.
He spent the last decade campaigning for it, so congratulations.
Really degrading himself. But
Yeah.
that is what Mike Lombardi's done, and I guess he's the big winner. Because what does any kind of holding on to pride when you can have your buddy who's jock you sniffed for 10 years give you a job? Well, anyway, the great thing about this Bill Belichick taking the job in North Carolina is that, he's pretending that there was the conceived interest around the NFL, but the same organization that he wrote onto a napkin that he did not want to be the coach, the same organization that he said the owner was ready, shoot, aim. He was badmouthed Woody Johnson. The story is now that Bill Belichick actually reached out to inquire and gauge the Jets' interest in giving him the head coaching job. And according to Bert Breer, did not do that with every team that had an opening. Well, Gary Myers is the man we thought of when we wanted to get institutional knowledge of New York sports. He, of course, is a very famous, legendary sports writer and author. He was the New York Daily News. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. And Gary, in fact, has a new book, Brady versus Belichick, The Dynasty Debate, that's coming out in September of the coming year. Mr. Myers, it's a pleasure, sir.
Good morning. You guys are a little rough on Mike Lombardi, huh?
I can't stand him.
None of us can.
It's awful. He's awful, and it's not that he just kisses Belichick's ass. It's that he does it in such a condescending way where he feels bad and he's taking it out on the person he's talking to.
Yeah, Mike has been, let's say, attached to Bill back from the Cleveland days, and he's probably the happiest guy in football that Bill took this job because now he's back. It's not the NFL, but it's the ACC. Not quite as good, but.
No, not quite.
No, and we'll get to all the Belichick and Jet stuff. But Gary, just real quick on Mike Lombardi, is he qualified? Does he have the resume and everything needed for that job that he's going to do with Belichick at UNC?
Well, I mean, who knows who's qualified? These are all new jobs.
Yeah.
Right. GM of a college football team. If you had mentioned that 2 years ago, you go, "What the heck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And Mike, let's just say, Mike, in talking to him over the years, can be a pretty good self-promoter, as you guys know, and can sell the product. And if the idea is that he's going to be in charge of this, the quote-unquote salary cap at UNC and help Bill with the recruiting and the scouting of which players he wants to recruit. I mean, he's got experience doing this at the NFL level. Whether it translates to college, I don't know how we really know about any of these guys. I mean, Adrian Wojnarowski from ESPN is now a general manager of St. Bonaventure basketball. His qualifications are he was the best NBA reporter. Does that translate to being the GM of a college basketball team? Well, I guess we're going to find out because these are all new jobs. We don't know who's qualified for what.
Yeah, I don't doubt his qualifications for the job, and Belichick has now valued friendship, and that's not even a negative to him, but it is for the teams that he's with. He valued his friendship with Patricia and Judge over any kind of, real world qualifications they had for jobs that he gave them. That's not it. It's just first of all, to be honest with you, Gary, I just cannot stand Mike Lombardi, and
you really have a hard time hiding that. So
well,
I wasn't sure
for my profession, it's probably best not to hide things during the course of these hours. It's kind of the I gotta try to entertain, but I mean, I know for a fact that radio shows will have him on almost as a they know what he's going to do, and they will have him on just to make fun of him for it. But then he protests like he's the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
But it's all a gag against him that he's unaware of, if you understand what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, the thing about Mike, and I haven't talked to him for a long time, but just, hearing him on podcasts and things that he put on social media when he's being very critical of different programs around the NFL, and you think about how many jobs he had and how many jobs he lost, but now he's sitting back and telling people the right way to do things. I do have somewhat of a problem with that, which, I probably share that opinion with you, that he kind of invents some, he kind of comes across sometimes as if he invented the game, when obviously he really didn't.
No, that's very true. All right, Gary. So what are you hearing about Belichick and the sincerity of his interest in the Jets job?
Well, first of all, I really think this the epitome of desperation of a guy who wanted back into the NFL, who wants to break Don Shula's record. He didn't like Don Shula for the things that he said. Back in 2007, when the Patriots were about 8 or 9 and 0, and I called Don Shula when I was working at the Daily News, and I said, what do you think about the Patriots making a run at the undefeated season and, the whole Spygate thing? And that's when he said that it deserved an asterisk. That was the first time in that interview with me that Shula was really critical.
Oh, that's awesome. Good. Yeah, that's great.
He went to call him Belichick.
Yep.
So you know that Belichick wanted to break Shula's record in the worst way, just like he wanted to go 19-0 in 07 to do something that Shula never did. And so, listen, if anybody who thinks Belichick would rather have gone to North Carolina than any of the, let's call it the 31 teams, because he wasn't going back to New England, that he'd rather have a job at Carolina than any of the 31 NFL teams that he possibly could have gone to. I mean, they're just fooling themselves. Plus, I'm really convinced that he wanted to try to win a Super Bowl without Brady, because the whole argument of Brady versus Belichick got, tilted so much towards Brady after he won a Super Bowl in Tampa. Now, I don't think that really should have anything to do with judging who gets the credit for the 20 years they were together in New England. But I think the public perception is now that it was all Brady. So as far as the Jets are concerned, listen, I don't know whether he spoke directly to Woody Johnson or whether he had an intermediary do it or whether he spoke to an intermediary of Woody Johnson to get the message to him. But there's no question there was contact of some sort in which he expressed his interest in the Jets job, which, I mean, I guess the clean way of saying this is, boy, the guy's got some chutzpah to do that, right?
Right.
After he went to what he did to the Jets in 2000. Now, I suggested two things. One, that Woody Johnson should have hired him and fired him after 24 hours.
I said the same thing. He should have brought him in. He should have flown him in, sat him down, had him do a 6-hour presentation, and then just flipped him off and walked out of the room.
Absolutely. I mean, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
The other thing, Carolina's playing in a Fenway Bowl, and I know that Bill's not going to be coaching in that, but what a triumphant return I envision a year from now.
Yeah.
North Carolina playing in the Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium. Bill back in New York, coaching Carolina in the prestigious Pinstripe Bowl against Purdue. I mean, how great would that be?
It really, I mean, it's got to be the way he drew it up in his head.
He's got it on his vision board somewhere, I'm sure.
Can I ask you this? And I'm a Jet fan, but I find this story interesting for a million reasons. But
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I know. It's well, apologize to my son. He's the one who's going to have to carry it on. But the what's his deal with Woody Johnson? Like, what is his problem with Woody Johnson? I've never really completely understood it.
Yeah, I mean, it's somewhat well, let me just say this: when Bill resigned in January of 2000 as the Jets coach of the HC of the NYJ, which has become kind of a running gag here in New York, Woody didn't yet own the team.
Right.
It was Woody against Charles Dolan. Those were the two finalists to buy the team, and the winner hadn't been decided yet, and it didn't come for another 2-3 weeks. So I think the uncertainty of who he was going to be working for probably factored into it. But the reason he hates Woody is because just the back and forth, and then the whole Spygate thing, even though that was really Mangini, Woody was attached to it. And I'm sure there's like behind the scenes bad blood that we are not necessarily aware of that happened between the Jets and the Patriots during that period of time. And then the Deion Branch thing where the Patriots accused the Jets of tampering and, all kinds of stuff that, the animosity between the two organizations was real. And Bill's hatred of the Jets is real. And his dislike/hatred of Woody Johnson is real because I've had conversations with Bill about that. And, I even said to him, Bill, you never worked for him. What's up with that? And, he just made one of those Belichick faces. And, so I know it's legit. I think it's over the top. And in this case, guys, it cost him any chance he had to get the Jets job. Because I think if if all this stuff didn't happen with Bill and Woody and turning his back on the Jets 24 years ago, and just say he just left under the right circumstances all those years ago, he would have had a chance to come back because the Jets need the credibility that Belichick would have brought to the organization that right now their fans have just had it. I mean, Aaron Rodgers this year was the owner, coach, and general manager, and we've seen how that worked out. And so bringing in a guy like Belichick with a strong personnel guy whose name would not have been Mike Lombardi would have been greeted very warmly by Jets fans, but he blew it because of all the things that have happened over the years.
Right. And it is very interesting with everything that he said that he did, indeed express interest in the Jets job despite all of that, and then claims that, he will play it later, but he claimed yesterday that there was interest in the NFL, but he took the North Carolina job anyway.
I want to throw one thing at you.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
There's been a lot of stuff coming. Now, I've thought for over a year that Dallas was the place for Bill. I thought that Jerry Jones would fire McCarthy after last season and hired Bill. And then you've been hearing things recently that that McCarthy might be coming back to Dallas. I think the fact that Belichick took the job in North Carolina is the strongest sign that McCarthy will be returning as the Cowboys coach, because I still think that was the perfect match between Jerry and Belichick. That Jerry's about 10 years older than him. They were both desperate to win a Super Bowl. It's been a quarter of a century since Jerry has even been to an NFC Championship game, which was the same year he won his last Super Bowl. And we know, everybody knows that Belichick was desperate to win another Super Bowl to prove he can win without Brady. And he was desperate to be remembered as the winningest coach in NFL history. And I thought that Jerry and Belichick were kind of at the same point in their lives, their football lives, where they would do anything to win. But the fact that Belichick took the job in North Carolina, and I could wind up being wrong about this, but I think that's the strongest sign yet that McCarthy will be back in Dallas.
Prescott certainly campaigned for him, so, they've had to deal with that.
And Michael Parsons, too.
Yeah. All right. Well, Gary Myers, look, go ahead. You guys on?
I think we're going to have to talk to you again closer to when the book comes out, because he said something a few minutes ago when you're mentioning the Brady Belichick debate and how what Brady did in Tampa shouldn't be factored into the calculus. And I'm fascinated as to hear why not, because I always thought part of the argument was, well, one of them couldn't have done it without the other, but then one did. So
well, if I can just say that, to me, it's based on the 20 years in New England, not what happened before, not what happened after. And although I think ultimately, it's not really a spoiler alert, my ultimate conclusion in the book will be that it was more Brady than Belichick, for sure. I think people are diminishing what Bill did early on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's the one who drafted him.
Yeah.
And he's the one who had the balls to start him and keep him as the starter.
And Brady was on board with everything that Bill was selling in those first 5, 6, 7 years. Would he have been the same quarterback with, say, Pete Carroll as his head coach?
Right.
Well, I mean, what would have happened if Tom wound up in Cleveland or I was going to say Houston, but they weren't around in 2000. Or just Chicago, which has been a burial ground for quarterbacks. You name it. Jacksonville, Carolina. Would Tom had even won one Super Bowl. He wound up in a perfect spot. Now he ran with it, and did unbelievable things that'll never happen again. But you got to at least give Belichick credit for drafting him, developing him, sticking with him when Bledsoe was healthy, and helping him turn him into the player that he became. I think the whole argument started to shift in 2007 when Belichick was under siege for Spygate and Tom threw 50 touchdown passes and came within David Tyree's helmet of being 19-0. But that's where I think the whole balance of power in the New England situation changed was in 2007. But the first few years, as we remember, it was a defensive dominated team, and Belichick was the guy behind the defense. So I think he gets the majority of the credit early on, but then the last 13 years, I think it was all Tom.
Yeah, and I think his hubris got maybe the best of him as he continued to have success. That's Belichick. But there's no question how many coaches would have had the balls to take a 6th-round pick and put him over a number 1 overall pick and keep him there. Gary Myers, and by the way, let me just plug Once a Giant, a story of victory, tragedy, and life after football about that fascinating 86 Super Bowl team that the Giants had and all the characters on that and their post-football lives. It's a fascinating book. Gary, thank you so much. We always appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, if I can just mention real fast, guys, that the Patriot book, Brady versus Belichick, the Dynasty Debate, it's available now on Amazon, which is encouraging to me because I haven't even finished writing it yet. So at least, people have confidence in me that it's going to get finished. So as soon as I get off the phone with you, I'm back to my computer to continue writing the book.
All right. Well, pre-order the unfinished. And who knows? It could be 800 pages by the time he's done. Pre-order the big book with by Gary Myers. Gary, thanks so much for the time,
guys.
All right, appreciate it.
Good talk.
And happy holidays to everybody.
Yeah, same to you. Happy holidays. All right, very great, very good. And what's better gift for the holidays than some good old-fashioned overnight guy that used to make full meals in the kitchen? We'll explain.
98.5, the Sports Hub. Half Toucher.
Dressed like a gorilla.
Half Hardy.
A big, beautiful ball of flame.
And a whole lot of Boston sports.
And I have had many offers to become an insider.
Sports Hub.
Beautiful, my love. Oh, tell me something beautiful.
Yeah. Ladies, I'm sorry I didn't warn you to put on a diaper or sit on a towel because Al Cole's about to vibrate your nether region. Oh my God.
I always forget about that one.
Yeah, I know. That's like just like a bird. So Al Cole, this guy who's singing, it was We Are Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Al Cole was he was a guy who did overnights on WZLX when we were all in the same building. And I never met him that I have any knowledge of, but who knows if I did. And Al Cole was this guy, a very interesting guy. He created a side business other than, spinning the rock tunes.
Yeah.
Where he was what would you say, like a smooth B guy, but no one knows what that is. He's like a professional romancer.
Yeah, he's almost like a hybrid motivational speaker, but like it's very clearly aimed toward a demographic made up of women that might find what he has to say very alluring.
And one of the maybe, I guess, the stories that tells the tale of Al Cole the best is that they split the company into two different meetings in Boston about sexual harassment. And the one that was in with Al Cole apparently lasted about a half an hour to 45 minutes longer than the other one that I was in, because Al Cole was peppering the female lady with questions about her life and wanting to get to know deeper things about the woman. Nothing inappropriate.
No.
Oh, how I love your breath.
He was just very interested in who was making the presentation and what she was all about.
He's a very romantic man. He loves the fair sex, and he's an accomplished interviewer and speaker, and he's been very active over the years on YouTube.
All right, yeah. So you found new Al Cole stuff. Where was this?
Yes, so he has a YouTube. So you can look up Al Cole on YouTube, and he has a channel, and he started to share some new content.
It's about time.
And I'm realizing now that you can start the audio, but I'm going to send you guys this clip because there is a bit of a visual component that you will all find.
And I'm sure it's as up to date as the bag that Tony Brazzarati made.
Yes. So you can. Yes, this is Al Cole, and I guess the best way to set it up, Fred, like we were talking about last week, is. He's got a message that you could say would be kind of for the holiday season. It's a message of positivity, of taking a look at the way the world is now, and maybe some things that we can do to reconnect. I guess we could leave it at that.
Well, we could always we're as divided as ever. Here is Al Cole bringing us together.
It's Al Cole from CBS Radio, and guess what?
Well, CBS Radio. Now, this came out when?
This came out about a month ago, and CBS Radio has been defunct since 2017.
Yeah, but listen, just
still billing himself. Though.
But you know what? It has been defunct, so he's still in it.
It's Al Cole from CBS Radio, and guess what? I'm a robot. And maybe robots are the only ones allowed to create new earthly religions these days. And you know I did. It's a new religion called Beautyism, and it helps explain, among many, many other things, why human beings are sometimes so isolated from each other. I'm going to put it this way. Did you ever ask yourself why you sometimes feel so isolated from other people? Well, of course you did. And did you ever feel that maybe you're the one that's weird? Well, maybe you're not so very weird at all. Maybe life itself was created with the intentions of being the highest expressions of what we might call peace, love, and understanding.
Okay, so he's saying when do we drink the Kool-Aid?
Why do you feel isolated? Maybe you're working overnights.
Why do you feel isolated? Well, I'm starting a new religion called Bang the Prophet.
Now, while this is
Guess
playing, he did remember. He said, "I've got some news for you. I am a robot. I'd like you. I just texted you each the clip, so you can just you don't need the audio, just the video. But Al Cole has clearly embraced AI." Because he is not just posting these videos to YouTube with audio only. He has created an AI robot version of himself to narrate the video for
Look
him.
at that.
And
It looks like Julio Iglesias with different lips.
And it's like Crash Cargo or Clutch Cargo, like the old the TV show with like it's the still animation, but the mouth is moving.
Yeah,
nothing is moving but the mouth.
If I told you it was a Tim and Eric thing,
yes, you would believe it 100%.
Because I'm guessing first of all, Al Cole never looked like that, and
Right.
second of all, that's not him now.
No,
I'm a robot.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
AI Al Cole.
So Al Cole made himself especially sexy for
An
this.
AI prophet.
Now you've heard everything. Is he sincerely like starting a religion? He's not kidding.
I know. I don't believe he's kidding at all. I believe this is his new mindset that he wants to share with the people.
Maybe you're the one that's weird.
Because he's like, David Koresh was swimming in it. So he's like the kind of guy that watches one of these Netflix documentaries and goes,
That's a good idea.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, the guy had a run.
Yeah.
I mean, he's banging all these hot chicks from TikTok. I mean, we got to get it going here.
And then catapulted itself unknowingly into a weird and unnatural trajectory of isolation. Well, maybe. But why? Answer 1. Could it possibly be that God itself is in isolation? And my answer is, well, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. In fact, it helps to explain one of the age-old, ever-present questions of religion itself.
Why am I not inside of you?
Well, maybe.
Well, maybe. Or maybe it would be better and you could find God if we had sex.
But why?
And why not have a harem? Isn't that what God would want?
It helps to explain one of the age-old, ever-present questions of religion itself. God, why did you let such a good person as my relative die in torture at such a young age? Well, answer 2. Possibly, maybe. God doesn't even know anything about it at all. But is that really possible? Well, Beautyism has some of the answers here.
Whoa! I can't follow. I've tried so hard to follow and I can't.
He's
I
just
can't
asked.
follow.
He's just asked the question that everyone's asked: if there's a God, why do terrible things happen? And I think he's about to tell you why his religion is going to tell you why.
Beautyism.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, every single sentient being has thought, how is there a caring higher power if there is all this death and destruction?
Okay.
Now here's the answer from Al Cole.
Beautyism.
Beautyism.
Created by me, Al Cole from CBS Radio, a robot. Yeah. And the creator of the newest of Earth religions, Beautyism. Created to discuss these and other essential questions of life in a deep, thought-provoking, sympathetic, and loving way. And if you want to know more, well, I invite you to email me at al@alcoleenterprises.com.
Because alcole.com was taken.
Right.
No CBS handle, I noticed.
Gentlemen, there's Al Cole, and then there's the whole enterprise.
That's AL@ALCOLE.
Well, what kind of illiterate morons are you trying to appeal to? You have to spell out Al Cole?
No, let it go.
All right, I'm going to do it. And then, however you spell enterprise. Then just look at Star Trek. And then at this point, we should just be doing it.
It redirects, by the way, alcoholenterprises.com redirects to alcoholic.com.
Yeah, I don't think he's got the,
Trying to get away from that brand.
I don't think he's got the patience to get
That and
to get this
Beautyism.
religion off the ground.
Yeah.
That's AL@ALCOLE. Enterprises with an S at the end.
Yeah, his son put together that website. Let's not go crazy. I'll spell Al Cole, but Enterprises with the S at the end.
But why?
Because you're illiterate.
.com. And I will say, no robots need reply. Only bona fide human beings.
With boners.
And together we can make America and all the world great again.
Oh, you should put that on.
And together we can make America and all the world great again. And this time, for all humanity.
Well, this needs to not go unexplored.
Mm-hmm.
In the 2025 is going to be the year of finding out about Al Cole's religion and who's in it, and what spaceship takes you up. Because Al Cole is going to answer the question, beautyism. You notice he doesn't answer it there, because the Buddha had to sit under the tree for several days before he came to the conclusions. But Al Cole will tell you how there is a loving God that does indeed allow all these human tragedies to happen. And we will find out more as I truly, truly want to explore this next year.
Oh, we will.
Imagine what a different turn the sci-fi horror genre would have taken if Ripley got on board the ship and Ash walked up and said,
I'm a robot.
It's like, wait a second. Well, you just blew the ending, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, you're not what I thought you would look like.
And she blew the ending. Ladies, first question, what do you pack? Wee or Fifi? I will focus on the Fifi.
But why?
Because you're horny. All right, Andrew Callahan will be joining us for an hour in just a moment.
Introducing
opening kickoff to the final play.
Touchdown!
Your home of the pass. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group Station. Sports Hub headlines.
The Bruins are currently 1-2 on a 5-game road trip. They'll be back at work tonight when they visit Calgary. Brad Marchand's overtime goal handed the Bruins a win against this team in their first meeting in the season in early November. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 8:30 and the face-off at 9 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. The NFL has flexed the kickoff of the Patriots game in Buffalo this Sunday. Instead of 1 o'clock, the game will begin at 4:25 in western New York State. Patriots will be back at practice tomorrow. On Monday Night Football, 2 games last night. Minnesota beat Chicago 30-12, and Atlanta won in Las Vegas 15-9. In other NFL news, Detroit running back David Montgomery needs season-ending knee surgery, and Patrick Mahomes has been diagnosed with a mild high ankle sprain for Kansas City. The Chiefs play Saturday at home against Houston, and then again 4 days later on Christmas Day in Pittsburgh. And the Baltimore Orioles yesterday signed 35-year-old Japanese star right-handed pitcher Tomoyuki Sagano. It's a 1-year, $13 million contract. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the $14.99 Big Deal Meals at the Nines. 4 new hearty full-size entrees like the roasted turkey dinner available every Monday through Wednesday for just $14.99. You gotta love the Nines. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Boston, the greatest sports town in America.
We have a farm. I have about 200 pigs here.
We get to spill beers on each other without worrying about spilling beers on people.
Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. What's the best way to listen to Toucher and Hardy?
Well, you're going to have to spend $40.
Cough it up, and let's get back to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, and we are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube, and as Hardy says, you can say terrible things about us, whatever, as long as you're part of the algorithm. Subscribe to 98.5 The Sports Hub, and then you can watch us 24 hours a day. They're all dead. They're all dead.
Marky's still alive.
Marky's not the
But
drummer,
the
though.
originals, You're right.
Yeah, Marky's the replacement drummer.
I like Marky. I got to meet him once.
Marky's cool. Marky's got the only channel on satellite radio that's worth listening to. No offense, Hardy. Is that you know what it is?
No.
They play like old punk rock.
I'm into it.
Yeah. It's like it's I don't think it's a real station either. It's like because it doesn't come in all the time.
Sure.
But it's Marky Ramones. They play like Descendants and Adolescents and Black Flag and
Marky
stuff.
came into FNX. He had a line of tomato sauce he was shilling, and it's actually decent.
Well, I can't imagine that's a difficult thing to pull off.
Right?
Decent. By the way, Caitlin Clark is is on the cover of one of these magazines as Athlete of the Year.
Time,
and one of the coaches of one of the owners of a WNBA team said that that's a problem. That the Time should have put everyone on the cover that was in the WNBA because it's racist. She alluded to racism and that it's bad for the league and bad for Caitlin. And to that, I would say, what planet are you on and what kind of professional league are you running? You're saying marketing a superstar is negative for the league.
Not one that's successful. No.
Well, no, and I mean, look no further than the same sport you're playing as the NBA did not run into any good fortune by marketing superstars. That's the way that league operates. The basketball league that people actually care about is entirely driven by stars. Out of all the sports, that is the one. Bird and Magic. Those games were on tape delay. Those finals games were on tape delay before Bird and Magic. Before that NCAA final game between the two of them.
NBA owned Sundays. They had the Celtics at 1, and they had the Lakers at 4 on Sunday afternoons when there was no football.
Yeah, and go and talk to Bob Ryan when he covered the Celtics in the 60s about how many people were at those games. They were all at Bruins games. No one was at Celtics games.
True.
I mean, what a JV thing to say. They should have put everyone on. Should they? Should they? Should they put everyone on? You know, when the Globe does all Scholastic, I say you should just put every high school kid in the state, jam them all in like one big yearbook. Why should you achieving something in individual honors motivate anyone else, or should you be given any kind of credit for
Why
it?
not single-handedly carrying the league to somewhat of a relevant standing?
It's just such a, and she's the owner.
No, she's someone who is actually paying attention to her for the first time ever because of Caitlin Clark. But she happens to own a team in the same league where Caitlin Clark plays.
And did I tell you that her team switched arenas to a far bigger arena when they played the Indiana team? With
Well,
Caitlin
opponents
Clark on
did.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
they played at the Garden.
No. This woman who badmouthed the Caitlin Clark cover, her team. She's not the owner of the Indiana team.
Right.
I forget whatever team. I don't know any of the teams. She's an owner of one of the teams. But
You know
her
Caitlin's team, though.
Her particular team, when Caitlin Clark came into town, switched arenas to get into like a 20,000 seat arena
Instead of the high school gym they moved to.
instead of
college
like like the casino ballroom that they usually play in.
Okay, now I know which one it is.
No, I don't think it is. I don't
No,
think she
it's
owns
not
the Connecticut team, but that's the only team I really know.
Hey, that's
and
my
the
son now.
Mystics.
You watch it there. Connecticut Sun.
Yeah.
Son of Connecticut right here.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Then now I see that you're in all the regalia right now.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that would be Nantucket red shorts, some boat shoes, and just a little aloofness about me if you want to go with a full Connecticut outfit.
Unless you're from Hartford or New Haven.
Yeah.
And then there could be a darker side to that whole situation. All right, listen. We have Andrew Callan, of course, from the Boston Herald, as he is every week. He's here. And a lot of controversy over Gerard Mayo after the game. In your opinion, did he throw Van Pelt under the bus when they were asked about May using May on a quarterback sneak in a 4th and 1 situation? And him, what did he say? He said, I don't know.
You said it.
You said it.
I didn't.
You said it. I didn't. What's the deal with that? Is he throwing people under the bus? Is he spiraling? What's going on?
That was my interpretation. Full disclosure, I was not in Arizona, some family stuff this weekend, so I was not there in person. But I don't know what the other interpretation could be. And I think we know it was this egregious because you think about Alex Van Pelt in a game that we all look and go, what was that play calling performance? And no one's talking about it. We're talking about the guy who called him out, who is his boss, because that's how bad Mayo's mistakes were. They were worse than the mistakes we all agree the Patriots should have called something different on 3rd and goal at the 1, on 4th and goal at the 1, and then throughout the game where they're just throwing screen passes for God knows what reason. That's how bad this was. That's my interpretation. And I don't know how many people disagree. I'm sure they're out there. But there's a reason he walked it back, because it was the wrong thing to say.
We were talking earlier about how even though he's a first-year head coach and can be excused some mistakes in his maiden voyage through this, he's not getting better. He's making these same mistakes over and over and over again. And even though I was one of the many people that thought, you know what, there's no way Robert Kraft will fire his hand-picked replacement for Bill Belichick after his first year, I've begun to see thought pieces and articles pop up. Mark Daniels has one this morning. Mayo, according to Mark, seems to be coaching for his job these last 3 weeks, and it's unfortunate because they play 3 very tough opponents.
Well, they're going to lose
3 weeks.
Yeah, they're going to lose those 3 games.
They got 2 against Buffalo, home and away, and they got the Chargers in the middle. And for those people who haven't been paying attention, Chargers pretty good.
No, everyone knows they're not winning those games. So, is he coaching for his job? I guess is the question.
I wouldn't say coaching for his job and that you have to go out and win it, but you can't lose it. And I think the scenario that a lot of us, I don't know if this includes Mark, but I know doing TV with Tommy Kern, speaking with guys like Burt Breer, we were all in agreement going into this Arizona game. The only way that Gerard Mayo loses his job in year 1, handpicked 5 years ago by Robert Kraft, is an abject disaster down the stretch. You got 4 games, 4 boxes to check for abject disaster. Mayo just checked one. And it wasn't just that you lost 30-17. Again, we all expected them to lose. They're in the neighborhood we knew they would be in at this point in the season. But it's the way that you're losing and the way you're throwing fire on this, the gasoline on this fire with your post-game comments. So that's where I land. And I've never been closer to believing that's a possibility either. I think it's just going to take more. And like you said, like, how do we expect these last 3 games to go? Badly, right?
Yeah, they're going to lose. But Vrabel, see, to me, Vrabel justifies everything, because if you bring Vrabel in, obviously his connection to the team, the retired or whatever jacket situation, and then the idea that he's had success as a head coach, that he's established, that I think you can do kind of in unscathed almost. Like you can go like, look, we're bringing in Vrabel. When we told Gerard about the job, we had no idea if Vrabel would have been available. You know, when they told him about the job, not when they officially hired him, but when they promised him the job, who knew Vrabel was having success in Tennessee? Who knew that he would be available? Da-da-da-da-da. Now, if you fire Mayo and here's where it gets tricky. If you fire Mayo and you bring in another guy that's never coached, been a head coach, and halfway through next season, he's making mistakes and screwing up, now you're in on it. And you could say, well, Fred, what if they threw a bunch of money at Ben Johnson? We don't know if Ben Johnson's going to be a really great head coach. I mean, there's innovative. Arthur Smith's done miracles as an offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh, and he was an average head coach who got fired in Atlanta. So being good at one the defense, Flores, the
defensive coordinator in Minnesota.
No, and then my guy,
Vic Fangio.
Vic Fangio is a great defensive coordinator. He was a terrible head coach. So, we don't know. What are your feelings on that?
Yeah, I think the important point here is that Gerard Mayo in most off seasons heading into this one, the bar to clear to be, can you prove that you can coach, or we have some belief that you'll grow into this potential? Because someone asked me this in my podcast yesterday. What's the reason for keeping Gerard Mayo, not hiring Mike Vrabel? And I said it's the same reason you hired him in the first place. You believe in the potential, right, as him as a head coach. And you give him all of the grace of you're hired here a year earlier than expected, and you're in your mid-30s, you've only coached for 5 seasons, and some of the confidence in that potential, surely, even for ownership, has to have been eroded. But the bar now is not just to say, can we figure out if this guy coaches, which I don't think is fair to say after 14 games, as bad as it's been. The bar he has to clear, in my opinion, is that he can coach as well or better than Mike Vrabel. That's a problem because we know how well Mike Vrabel works as a head coach. You mentioned Arthur Smith. Not only did Mike Vrabel get them the number 1 seed and make the playoffs a couple of years ago after that, he hired Arthur Smith as his first offensive coordinator. Then he hired Matt LaFleur. Okay, or vice versa. But either way, those guys were NFL head coaches. They were good OCs. And right now, when you look at, the Patriots and Alex Van Pelt, deserves a ton of credit and is not working with much with Drake May. They're one of the worst offenses in the league. They have been all year. So it's your ability to coach and hire staff around you. We know Mike Vrabel can do that. We don't know if Gerard can.
Yeah, and that's the big negative. Like, I can see Mayo struggling this year and that it's not going to get better because the point is like, and Hardy made the point too, is that you're preparing the preseason basically if you're the Patriots for the first game of the year, and as the season goes on, these other teams are getting better, and the focus is there and everything else, and I can see him spiraling at this point. What I don't understand, and I think Gerard Mayo eventually could be a good head coach somewhere with more experience. The thing I can't understand with Gerard Mayo is that he was in the NFL for a long time. He obviously is well connected in the NFL. How he didn't have the connections and a plan to surround himself to guard against the weaknesses. You got to know your weaknesses, and you got to put people in place. Like, for instance, Hardy can do stuff I can't do. That's why I wanted Hardy. There's things you got to have that awareness. Go ahead.
I think I have the answer, though. Gerard Mayo wasn't allowed to pick his staff, and now he's being scrutinized to a much greater extent than a lot of coaches are, certainly than Bill ever was. So how much say did Gerard have at the beginning? How much say does he have now? Because it seems like there's a lot of people watching over him.
So I do think the level to which ownership is involved is as more than it has been for most of what we've experienced the last 25 years. And maybe it matches what Belichick was enduring the last couple of years, because I reported Belichick would have gone into 2023 with Matt Patricia as his offensive coordinator had the Crafts allowed it. They didn't. He picks Bill O'Brien. Everybody moves on. I think, though, the answer is simpler than what are the politics in the office and how much sway are they applying pressure? Are they dictating whatever it might be? We don't know that. I don't know that. I can't report on that. What I can tell you, though, is I think Mayo is suffering sometimes from a bit of arrogance in the way that he carries himself and the expectation going into that job about who I can hire, who I can pull. Come work here. I represent the 6-time Super Bowl champions, where people in the league that I talked to who were close to the interview process for the offensive coordinator job were like, I didn't get a great vibe there. I don't think they're particularly organized. I don't know the support that I'm going to have. And that guy's only been coaching for 5 years. So it's great. He was a good player. It's great. He's been a part of and driven a lot of success there. But that doesn't mean it's going to translate next. And I think Gerard goes, I'm an incredibly confident, talented, natural leader. Of course it'll follow. And people don't buy in. And I think that's your mistake, is overlooking your own weaknesses or not seeing them the same way that you and I do.
And I think it's more fair than unfair. If you're trying to represent yourself as the person, the face of the 6-time Super Bowl New England Patriots, other candidates would look at that and say, no, the two faces of that are gone. They're out the building now. If someone's going to come up and present themselves as the face of that would have been Brady and Belichick. Other players, sure, but no, that's a tough thing to put out there and say this is who we are.
I wouldn't even think that you would have to sell it. I think you would have it done. Like, I think that you would have had it done. You would have known. You would have said, had a verbal agreement, the connection to go, you're going to be my next guy. Like, I'm going to bring you with him.
But if he got surprised a year early, maybe he didn't have that stuff in place.
It shouldn't matter. You should have networked and have that group and those guys that you know.
Mind. What if I become? I mean,
and have talked to them. Let's come on. He wanted to be a head coach. He knew he was going to be the head coach. Have the conversation with guys and don't be spinning your wheels.
If and when it happens, here are the 5 guys I'd call immediately.
Not if and when. I know it's going to happen, and when it happens, here's what we're going to do.
So who do you think he should have talked to? Maybe not specifics, because I look at this right on the outside and go, his network is just limited to New England. And there are a lot of people that have come and gone to better jobs when he's been coaching.
But what about, his agent? I don't know who his agent is. Who does his agent represent? You know what I'm saying. There's networking that you can do. But my thing is this, is that if they keep Mayo, I think that he's got to bring in a Peterson or like McCarthy, that he's got to bring someone in that's had head coaching experience, like an Arthur Smith. He's got to bring in someone that's been a head coach. They got to pay him an assload of money and go, you're second in command here. Like, you're joined at the hip.
But the problem was
teach me how to do this.
They tried something like that. His name is Ben McAdoo. Not exactly a great
come on,
head coach.
John. Peterson and McCarthy are decent NFL head coaches.
Of course, but that's the point. They even did that poorly. They tried that and did that poorly.
I was going to say, I don't think you should be kidding. That's exactly what they did. Ben McAdoo was one of the last hires to their staff.
I know.
And that was the experience. Well, here's the other part, though. What you just described is sell someone here to come in year 2, where let's say Mayo survives, and I think that's the greatest likelihood. Like the way we're talking about if this and that. Gerard Mayo, I would bet almost anything, will be the Patriots coach February 2025. You have to come in with a potential lame duck head coach, and then, as you said, get paid an assload of money. Does that sound likely that a person would A, take that offer, or that B, the Crafts would extend that to that assistant coach?
I don't know about the Crafts, but if I was the Crafts, I would. If I'm McCarthy or Peterson and I'm getting paid already by, I don't even know if is McCarthy a lame duck coach?
Yes.
Okay, so
but
McCarthy,
it looks like he's going to go back.
Yeah, but I think he's going to go back. But if I'm Peterson and I'm coming off that Jacksonville thing and you'll pay me a lot of money and my job is to babysit Mayo and it's an NFL job that pays a lot of money, I'm taking that job. Why wouldn't I?
I don't think Peterson's going to be busting for job interviews after today.
Or even if he is. Like, no, he's not going to be busting for a head coaching job.
That's my point.
But he'd take a coordinator job. Of course he would. I think he would, right?
Again,
I don't think there's any doubt that he would.
If you outspend other people, yes.
Yeah, and Mayo's inexperience, if I'm Peterson, would be a plus for me. Because now I'm ingratiating myself into this franchise. Now I want to be with him.
Is he a good coach, by the way, though? Like, the Patriots can't be picky. Let's be clear about that.
Peterson is not a good coach. Peterson has been an effective NFL coach that seems to have some institutional knowledge of how to run a team. That's all I'm saying. And you're not asking him to be a great. I think he's a great coordinator and probably a great mind to have as your co-pilot, as that's available now. Yes, I think Peterson solves that. I don't know. I don't like that Jacksonville situation too much for anyone, to be honest.
And honestly, outside of that Super Bowl year, which is a lot of heavy lifting in that suggestion. Oh, outside of that one year, they won the freaking Super Bowl. Pretty underwhelming. Yeah. Even some culture stuff. But it's interesting because he might be, as you suggested, the first 2 people that came to your mind are 2 coaches that in those markets, Dallas and Jacksonville, nobody wants.
Right.
And you're going, they can fix what's here in New England because it's that much
But
worse.
you're not asking them to do what they did in Dallas and Jacksonville.
Right,
You're
babysit.
asking them to do what got them the jobs in Dallas and Jacksonville.
Be a Jim Caldwell. You need to clone Jim Caldwell. The man's been doing this for 2 decades. I don't.
Jim Caldwell should not have been fired by the
Solid.
Lions. All right, Jim Caldwell had a winning record with the Lions, and they got Patricia, who alienated everyone literally the first day he was there. All right, we'll be back with more Andrew Callahan as we're running very late, but it's the holidays. Who cares? We'll be right back.
More.
quarterback design runs. Just haven't pulled them out yet. So there's no disagreement. We're all on the same page. I think Alex and the offensive staff do a good job putting together the game plan. I go in there, offer my 2 cents, and we come out of the room as a unit, all on the same page.
We have Andrew Callahan in studio from the Herald talking about the Patriots. Ooh, the sitar. How incredibly pretentious.
Thought you were going to say sensual. Damn it.
By the way, Al Cole called in. It's very
Yes, I
exciting.
heard that.
Yes, we're very excited.
We'll have him on in the new year. I have one more Patriot question, then I do want to get to Bill Belichick, so we have to do 2 stats and a lie. Would there be a mandate that they can't call running plays for Drake May? There's this talk of that they didn't run. The people have gone back through prior comments. I guess Alex Van Pelt said something like they don't want to run Drake May because of the concussion. That's being speculated. It seemed ridiculous to me. I'm asking you, maybe it's so ridiculous you haven't heard of it. There was this notion that they didn't sneak on the 4th and 1 with Drake May because there's this declaration that they are not to call designed runs for Drake May out of protection for him.
I haven't read that. I haven't heard that. I haven't seen any substantive reporting behind it.
Okay.
I would not be surprised if someone felt that way, given how good he's been, how quickly he's developed. But I would also say this. They ran him in the preseason. His first touchdown, technically as a pro, was a zone read concept he takes around the right end and walks into the end zone, and all of Gillette Stadium goes nuts. So, yeah, that was pre-concussion. But I think Drake and Gerard have also spoken about the concussion in a way they were like, oh, it either wasn't that bad or maybe wasn't one at all, because Drake is talking about, I'm on cleats on concrete doing this kind of standing balance test. Like, of course I failed.
Yeah, and I this might be naive, but like a 4th and 1, like quarterback just getting low and pushing doesn't seem like you're going to take a giant hit.
A lot of other teams do it.
Yeah,
a lot of other teams have done this.
That's all Jalen Hurts does. Is that and like you never think he's going to get hurt. Like he gets low and then they just go in. Like, you're certainly not going to get a head injury. All right. Well, I guess anything's possible. All right, let's get to the good stuff. All right, Bill Belichick is a real fool.
Who?
Yes, and we had Gary Myers on.
Mm-hmm.
You know Gary Myers. He's had a very good career. He's over there in New York, confirming that Bill Belichick, without irony and in all sincerity, inquired to the New York Jets, someone involved in the process, about being the coach of the New York Jets. That it was not like they met in the street and he said, "How do you do?" It was a very sincere and real inquiry. Now, Gary Myers said this reeks of desperation on Belichick's part, and that if you believe he wanted this North Carolina job, he's got a bridge to sell you. I tend to agree. Your thoughts?
I want to put this in the most professional, journalistic way possible. Bill's got balls. That's what I think. And look, he always has, daring as an in-game coach, daring as a game planner, daring just as a human being. I think I can do this. I can go out and get it.
There's bold daring and then there's pathetic daring.
Yeah, well, there's a point where bold becomes stupid.
There's jumping out of an airplane and then there's like begging and crying a girl to come back to you. They're both bold moves.
Yeah. But then what happens if the Jets accepted? Who would look more pathetic and desperate then?
I don't think there's the Jets, but there's no way the Jets would have possibly done that. There's no way. There's absolutely zero way that a multi-billionaire is going to hire a has-been coach.
Woody never.
Well, it's not about whether he's a has-been or not, because clearly there were, some people don't think otherwise. It's about the comments he made and has made at every turn about Woody Johnson and the Jets.
If he was 55 years old and coming off a Super Bowl, if I'm Woody Johnson, I'm going life short. Here we go. If he's 72, about to be 73, and coming off a disaster, and he's a prick to boot, I'm telling him to go screw. All I'm saying is 20 years ago, this is a much more difficult decision to make than it is now.
Well, yeah, but I think the bigger point is not the age there. It's, are you coming off a Super Bowl or a disaster?
Sure, whatever.
Like a disaster is
whatever,
why he's not
whatever
in
the
NFL.
reason.
Right.
Woody Johnson didn't say yes, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
So it's the idea of the legacy of Bill Belichick and the way this is ending. You covered the guy. Is this surprising to you how this is all ending? Not the North Carolina job. That I sort of even respect. Like, you want to coach, go coach. Like, get a job coaching if you love it. The desperation to which he tried to hang on into the NFL, does that surprise you? Would you have guessed this 2 years ago?
Would I've guessed this 2 years ago? No, I would have thought he was still coaching 2 years ago because no one saw 4-13 coming. This isn't to pick on your question.
No, but no, that's part of the question.
Right.
That adds to the question, is that you would not even imagine he wouldn't have had a job, let alone he would be glad-handing around begging.
So I think the inquiry, like I just said, took a lot of balls. Whether that was on his knees, please, 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 over the phone, take me back, what'll it take, I'll coach for free. That's begging. I don't know if this was him like he did with North Carolina, thinking, I have all the leverage here. I'm going to strong-arm you into paying me $10 million, quintupling your NIL. For the Jets, obviously, that would have meant spending more money or doing whatever he wanted. If he came to them like Nat and said, hire me, what do you think, this is my plan? And they said no, that's very different than begging. But as far as Bill going around the NFL, and the NFL saying no thanks at every single turn for the last 11 months, because he got some intel before he even went to the Jets about the other jobs. And the intel wasn't good enough. That was the biggest takeaway before he got the job in North Carolina. Yeah. He doesn't think he'll work in the NFL again. I'm shocked. Again, I said it here last week. If I was Dallas, if I was Jacksonville, screw it. I'll take 3 years of Bill Belichick.
I completely disagree. If I'm Jacksonville, there's no way. And if I'm oh my God, my brain. Owner of the Cowboys, Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones, yeah.
If I'm Jerry Jones, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with him. There's no guarantees, and I don't want to deal with him.
I think Jerry would have been, and Gary Myers told us this last hour, Jerry would have been the closest thing because he's old, he wants to run at this, and maybe he's willing to swallow his pride.
I haven't met anyone, and the longer he's been gone, and the more people have opened up to me about Bill Belichick, the more I can't find anyone that could stand him. So, that's a problem. That now people are talking openly that they weren't talking openly before, off air, and they all hate him. And what a dick he is, and what a dick Patricia is, and these guys are all huge dicks. Like his reputation is if everyone's saying this to an idiot like me, I mean, these owners, why would I put up with it?
And the other part of it is with Jacksonville, Andrew. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has not.
Well, hold on for a second, Fred. Have you checked with Mike Lombardi?
Yeah, you didn't check with
Gary Myers was almost offended by the way I described Mike Lombardi until he agreed.
And then he came around at the end. He agreed with him.
Because he knows that people have Lombardi on their shows because they know he's going to act up and then they can make fun of him. And he's getting paid for it.
It's amazing.
And by the way, he's getting paid a lot of money, $1 million, which is a lot for that job. But is $1 million when you've been a personnel guy in the NFL worth 10 years of groveling? $1 million, conceivably $2 million.
He's not doing it for the paycheck. He's doing it because that's who he is. That's what he believes.
Yeah, juggling NIL money and dealing with stupid Southern boosters. That's the way I want to spend my time.
I know you had something, John, but when it comes to Bill and thinking he wouldn't get a job in the NFL, I think what he found out was that no matter how much he acquiesced and said, I don't need total control of this thing, teams didn't believe him. They didn't believe that that's how he was going to act once he got in there. And maybe more importantly, Andrew, I don't think teams believe in him. I don't think they know he got this institutional knowledge of football and that he knows more than anyone in the room. Did they believe and do teams believe he can somehow translate that into a winning record? And that's what they must not believe in. Otherwise, someone would have offered him a job by now.
If they do believe in him, it's not strongly enough to hurry up and sign him right away or promise a job or an interview. Or they think he can do that to the same level that a Ben Johnson could or Mike Vrabel could or an Aaron Glenn or Brian Flores even. Pick your head coaching candidate coming up this January because you look at the last 4 years of Belichick, granted a lot went on. It's 29-39. I remember writing and saying last year, hey, every coach gets fired in this kind of scenario. That's what happened. And I think you can skip over that. I think people forgive and forget. But if I'm going to do that, it better be for a guy who is going to be here for a long time. And that's the other part about this. The age does come in. It's the disaster he's coming off of and the fact that he's only here for 3 years. If this doesn't go like that instantly to the playoffs and maybe the Super Bowl, well, what was this for? We're just going to have to turn over everything anyway.
All right. Look, it's fun. It really is. The comeuppance. And every time someone tells me more about their personal interactions with Bill Belichick, the more vindicated I feel, and the more I like making fun of him for being a simp. I love it. Why do you not like Bill Belichick? Because he seems like an awful guy. Now everyone's coming out with stories out the wazoo, and Patricia's he's either pathetic in some cases and a huge a-hole in others. Go ahead.
Has Jordan posted anything recently? Any pictures?
I don't know. I'm kind of over it now that he's got the North Carolina job. Let Jordan deal with it.
Okay.
Now that he's already degraded himself professionally, I'm not keeping an eye on that as much.
Got it. Just from talking to the Jets, that's what did it, degrading himself?
No, taking the North Carolina job is professionally degrading
I mean, it could
himself.
be either.
Yeah.
Look at the Jets.
How about both? How about making the call and then taking that job?
You know what I would have done when I took that job? I would have gone, look, I had a great run in the NFL. I'm getting older. All I want to do now, I just want to coach, man. And, I want to coach, and it's an opportunity I've never had, and it's going to be fun. The NFL was great. It just wasn't there right now. I didn't get it. Then I would be like, what a guy. But this whole, I was getting offers from the NFL. The NFL wanted me. Just shut up. And I don't want to be that way when I'm 73. If I was 6 Super Bowls, 73 years old, I would go, yeah. We looked around the NFL. There wasn't a whole lot of interest there. Now he's got the North Carolina job. I'm not going to pull it away from him. There wasn't a whole lot of interest there. This is an opportunity I've never had. It's a new challenge. I really want to keep coaching. I look forward to the opportunity of coaching and developing younger players. It is what it is, and it's fun, and it's a great place to live, and this is where I want to be. Instead of you know what I'm talking. Instead of I could have had this and I could have had that, but I chose this because stop.
Still got the
There's
ego.
nothing wrong with the NFL not wanting to give you a job. Just say it. You're making $10 million a year coaching in North Carolina. Congratulations. But no, and it is degrading when you're putting on a facade that you're ashamed of the job. Yes, it's degrading.
Well, real quick, I know where you stand on this, Fred. Wallach and Hardy, are you rooting for Belichick in North Carolina? Do you want that to go well?
Not necessarily, no.
No, I do not.
Yeah, no one
I do
does.
not want him. I do not want North Carolina.
So
to do
I'm
well.
super curious because I think the ratings for North Carolina football in New England are going to be off the charts.
Oh, no,
this
no
year.
question.
It's going to be like Dion in Colorado.
And I'm
for a
incredibly
while.
fascinated to find out.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Patriots fans feel given how it ended, but also what he brought them for 20 years.
We
BC
really
played
have
them this year.
really have to break.
Yeah.
They don't play anyone in the ACC this year. They don't play Miami. I will tell you this: Dion brought in a sense of cool, and Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter. That's not happening in North Carolina. All right, we'll be back in just a moment with the 2 stats and a live famous pick.
Sports Hub. Dutcher and Hardy continues on the Sports Hub.
Andrew has 2 stats, but he has just 1 lie. Andrew has 2 stats, but he has just 1 lie.
Hey, we're Dutcher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And Andrew Callahan is here from the Boston Herald, and he came in armed with a segment. It's 2 stats and a lie. Something I cannot conceptualize on many occasions.
You nailed it last week, and that was good enough to get you almost.
To you.
To me, yes. Currently, Fred has a record of 5-8. I'm at 6-8 because of the 1 week you're out. John Wallach, miserable in this game.
Yeah, we're kind of steering for draft position at this point.
2-12 on the season, Wallach.
John
I'm
can't
firing
win.
everybody.
John can't win, so it is up to us to find a punishment, as was suggested by Andrew Callahan. All right, so
Andrew, by the way, 28-13. He has fooled us 28 times. 13 times we have figured out the stat within the 2 stats and 1 lie.
Yeah. All right. So
we figured out the lie.
Fred, you got to figure out what is not true, as I have thought these through on air and to the frustration of everyone, all those in the room and the audience, and then gone against my own logic.
I don't think the audience is frustrated at all. I think they're delighted by it.
If I was
with Andrew,
it wouldn't frustrate me to tune out,
right?
But it would be like, you idiot.
Well, it was funny when we described it to you right before we did it, and you still made the same mistake.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me that my brain is damaged in this way. Who knows what I did to it? Here we go.
Also, this is the last 2 stats and a lie before Christmas. We will not be here next week, so we have this.
4 more shows, 3 co-hosts, 2 statistics, and 1 lie from Andrew Callahan.
Oh, that's nice.
What a beautiful sentiment
beautiful,
by Nicholas.
That was great.
All right, let's hear. Let's make with the 2 stats and a lie. Andrew's going to give us 3 things here. Here we go.
Number 1, the Patriots are the only team in the NFL not to score more than 25 points this season. Number 1, the Patriots are the only team in the NFL not to score more than 25 points this season. Number 2, at 68.5%, Drake May's completion percentage is higher than any season-long completion percentage Tom Brady ever had. Number 2, at 68.5%, Drake May's completion percentage is higher than any season-long completion percentage Tom Brady ever had.
Okay.
I'm doing like a Christmas voice. I don't know why. Number 3.
You are?
As 14.5 point underdogs heading into Buffalo.
Wait, start again because I got a text. Go ahead.
Okay. As 14.5 point underdogs heading into Buffalo, the Patriots are currently the largest underdogs they've ever been under the Kraft's ownership. As 14.5 point underdogs heading into Buffalo Sunday, per FanDuel, your friends at FanDuel, the Patriots are currently the largest underdogs they've ever been under the Kraft's ownership.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
All right, this is not easy.
Yeah, this is not easy at
It's
all.
not easy.
Okay, I already have my answer.
Go ahead.
I believe the last one is a statistic. I believe this is the largest underdog they've been under the Kraft's ownership. I believe, because it's crazy, that the 68.5% completion percentage for Drake May is higher than Tom Brady's throughout an entire season for Tom Brady. That's right.
Season-long completion
Season-long-
percentage, yes. Yep.
I believe the lie is that the Patriots are the only team to not score 25 points. I know they haven't scored 25. We were just talking about this yesterday. I think they've hit
more than 25. They had 25 against the Jets in Week 8.
Okay, more than 25. I believe there's another team out there that could match that. That is the lie.
Fred, you want to go or you want me to go?
I got to do my thing.
No.
Go. You go.
All right. Number 2, I agree with Hardy. I think that is true. The third one is what again? I'm sorry to make you repeat yourself.
14.5-point underdogs, largest spread the Patriots have faced under Kraft's
The
ownership.
only one I can think of is that pandemic where they had to play without Cam Newton in Kansas City. That was the Brian Hoyer game, and they were on two different planes, and they were going there.
There's no way the Belichick team was
yeah, so
14
that's the
and a half
only
dogs.
thing I can think of. But you know what? I think that's true, too. 14.5 is a large number, and no Belichick team would be. You know what? I think one's the lie. I think one is the lie.
Okay, so the Kraft said have two decent coaches. There's no way Belichick was a 14.5-point dog. Maybe his first season. All right.
They had Bledsoe. They won 6 games that year. They weren't hopeless.
So if another
5 games
team
that year.
hasn't scored 25 points, that would make that true. Haven't scored over 25 points, that would make that a truth.
Correct.
Okay, but Patriots. You're saying the Patriots haven't scored. They're the only team that haven't scored.
He's saying that they're the only one, and I believe, John believes, there's another team that's just as bad at scoring points.
Okay, so you think that's a lie? Then?
One is the lie.
Oh, one is the lie.
According to Hardy and I, one is the lie.
Then I am going to say that's true.
Oh.
So now all three are true.
There's another team.
This is more dramatic than the answer. Just wherever Fred lands,
I'm
how he gets there, we don't know.
So I think the Patriots aren't the only team that has scored over 25 points. I do think they're the only team that hasn't scored that 25 points, so that would be true.
Yes.
Okay. I've done that exercise.
You know how coaches show video in basketball when their players are in a shooting slump of like a past game when they were 10 for 10 from the line? They're like, this is what you can do. We need to pull up like week 4 of this segment to Fred and be like, you nailed it. It was quick. You understood.
All right. Well, that
I can't laugh at Fred because he's 3 games ahead of me, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
you're rebuilding.
Yeah.
So it's a toss-up between the other two. Why is that funny?
Just the drum roll was funny because he
You
keeps playing it
got
over
four-
and over
you got
again.
four
You're
drum
nowhere
rolls so
close
far.
to getting to an answer.
Oh, sorry, I'm doing radio. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go number 2 is the lie.
You ready?
Yeah. And that would be my second guess. I would go with that one. So Fred could have it here.
One more drum. Fred, buddy. You got it.
Thank you.
Let's do this. It takes 2 steps.
Now I am now for all my mental deficiencies.
Was it 07?
I am in the lead.
Brady have a better completion percentage in 07?
That's exactly right, John Wallach. Hold on,
Don't
let's
make up for
update
it
the
now.
standings unless Hardy, you want to do this
Don't
part?
show your work now that you're wrong.
No, it just dawned on me. The 07 season, he was probably around 70.
Fred moves to 6 and 8. I drop to 6 and 9. Wallach 2 and 13.
Yeah.
It's all working out as it should have.
He's now a half game ahead of the Raiders and Giants for the number 1 pick.
Okay,
Congratulations to John Wallach. Travis Hunter moving into John Wallach's house this spring.
Cannot wait.
He's gonna get himself that Cam Ward fellow. Go ahead.
Number 1, the Patriots are the only team in the NFL not to score more than 25 points this season. The Giants got 29 on Seattle in Week 5. The Jets hung up 32 on Jacksonville Sunday. The Raiders had 26 at Baltimore back in Week 2.
Oh,
They've
that's
lost
shocking.
every game since,
Yeah.
or close to it. The Chiefs have hit 30 a few times. Chiefs have not scored more than 30. So they surprised me in this inclusion.
They only have one
Yeah.
game where they won by 2 scores, right?
Yeah,
Or 2
they've been in
games.
28.
Yeah.
30
That I was familiar, but not that lack of points.
Number 2, Drake May, 68.5 completion percentage. Really good. Tom Brady, 68.9% in 2007. His only season higher than what Drake May's doing right now. A lot of short passes. Brady, in case anyone forgot that season, 50 touchdowns, 8 picks, 300 yards per game.
Oh yeah, wait, we have not forgotten. We have not forgotten.
No.
The last one. The Patriots right now, according to FanDuel, 14.5-point underdogs. That is a half point larger than last year's spread at Buffalo when they were 14-point dogs and covered in a gross 27-20 loss to Josh Allen and company. They were also 14-point dogs in Super Bowl 36 versus the Rams, and again one time in 1997 when you get larger than 14.5, you have to go all the way back to 1992.
Wow, 14-point dogs in that Super Bowl. How about that?
No,
In a
Andrew's
Super Bowl.
got 2 stats. Andrew's
You have to remember, Super Bowls in the 80s were all blowouts for the most part, except for the Giants, Buffalo.
Happy holidays, Andrew.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Andrew. This is all working out as you would think. You would think that Hardy and I are about intellectually similar, and that John would be this far behind. There's no question. That means it's an accurate test of intelligence. Thank you. We appreciate it. All right, we got to fix the clock in 2025. We're really bad with this. But Andrew, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll be back in just a moment.
WBZ-FM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
The Bruins continue their 5-game road trip tonight when they visit Calgary. Ryan Johnston and Bob Beers have the pregame at 8:30 and the face-off at 9 here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. The Bruins are 1-2 so far on this trip. Patriots players will be back at practice tomorrow. They play in Buffalo on Sunday in their final road game of the season. The kickoff of that game against the Bills has been flexed from 1 to 4:25. On Monday Night Football, 2 games last night. Minnesota beat Chicago 30-12. It was Atlanta winning in Las Vegas 15-9. Detroit Lions running back David Montgomery needs season-ending knee surgery. Patrick Mahomes has been diagnosed with a mild high ankle sprain for Kansas City. The final of the NBA Cup takes place tonight in Las Vegas. Milwaukee faces Oklahoma City. The Celtics' next game is on Thursday night at home against Chicago. And Sacramento State is in the process of moving up to the FCS level of Division I college football, and they have spoken to former NFL quarterback Michael Vick about becoming their new head coach. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Best Ford. Looking for great deals on a new Ford? Go to the Best first. Best Ford in Nashua. Head to bestfordofnashua.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Hey, if your alarm clock sounds like this is the show for you. Toucher and Hardy, The Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Be listening at 8:50 for your chance to score a $50 gift card and a pair of tubing passes for Neshoba Valley ski area. Skiing, tubing, dining, dancing, and celebrating by the fireplace at Boston's own winter playland, Neshoba Valley ski area in Westford. Get your gift cards for the holidays at skineshoba.com. I probably said 8:50. I meant this hour.
9:20. We'll say.
Sure. All right. Let's go. Let's go. I set a record for getting off
Let's
my
go.
radio
Hey, we're back,
yesterday.
everybody. Here we go.
I got it off within a second. I heard the horrible production value, and I knew what it was.
Oh, yeah. Something serious, something really big is about to happen.
Hardy asked a programmer to give his notes on the Let's Go podcast,
Let's go.
and they were not kind.
No, let's see. Hate the VO. Jim Gray's mic sounds like poop. Jim is fanboying on Bill, which is weird since it's their show. They have no chemistry at all. Listen for 16 minutes and need to bail because it's so boring. No wonder he took the UNC job, probably to get away from Jim Gray. I don't know that he's going to be able to.
Yeah, I mean, why not keep this lucrative thing? Jim Gray obviously put together this podcast. It's so obviously not produced by the channel it's on. It sounds completely different. It's not live. It has in like segment advertising that's very clumsy. That's not like the channel. Mm-hmm. It's on a bunch of channels. So Jim Gray obviously put this thing together and bought the time on where it airs. And it's a disaster. But Bill Belichick, they lost Brady. It was horrible with Brady, who's getting better at television, by the way. But it was much to my shock, he's getting better at television. But it was bad with Brady. Now it's a real cluster F. But here's Bill Belichick explaining why he took the North Carolina job.
Let's go, here we go. Let's Go is back on the air. Let's Go, presented by Delta Airlines. Coach Belichick is coach again.
Listen to how tinny and awful that is. It sounds so much different than the rest of that station. It sounds worse, way worse than this station. In terms of just the quality of the audio.
Oh, it's not even close.
Yeah, it's like why is this so bad, Jim?
Coach Belichick is coach again. University of North Carolina. Congratulations, Coach.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you. It's it's exciting to be back in football. I spent my whole life growing up around college football at the Naval Academy with my dad, and now to be a coach in college is it's fun. It's exciting, and the way college football has evolved, it's really a lot like pro football. salary cap, if you will, the revenue share and the NILs. And a lot of college coaches contact me and ask me about how you manage the salary structure and negotiating and so forth.
I think there are a lot of people who are sad, and I'm one of them. Sad that the greatest coach in the history of professional football won't be in professional football, at least not for now. Are you melancholy? Is there a sadness that you feel as well?
Well, I enjoyed all my years in the National Football League. It was a great experience. Learned a lot. Spent time with a lot of great people. The competition was amazing, but I'm excited to be here and looking forward to the opportunity.
Everybody's speculating and talking. Do you feel as though you would have had opportunities in the National Football League, and this is simply a timing thing, that this was a good opportunity, something that you would like to do? And do you feel as though you might have had opportunities in the NFL?
Sure, I think there would have been some interest, but in the end, really, it's not about what there could have been or would have been. It was about the opportunity at North Carolina, and I'm here with Mike Lombardi as our general manager to do all we can to. We're going to get the team, make it as competitive as we can as soon as we can.
That's just the thing. Why don't you just say, look, I had a great run in the NFL. It looked like those opportunities were done, and I really want to keep coaching. I have a passion for coaching. I love it. This is a new challenge. I got to bring my dopey idiot friend around that has been so loyal to me, much to the emasculation of himself. Instead, why the need to spin everything?
I don't know, but this is the thing. When he was doing his introductory press conference at UNC, which I watched that whole thing. I can't believe I did, but I watched the entire thing.
Good for you. You and Jordan.
He shouted out Lombardi a bunch of times in that, and he's doing it again. Like he's genuinely enthused and happy about Lombardi being there with him.
Because I think if you were like loyal to a fault to him, obviously he'll jam you in anywhere. Like Patricia, you see him walking around with Bill. And Patricia's going to be involved in this North Carolina situation if he has to be. And, like you see him, like when he was kissing the ass of the Eagles owner on the field, there's Patricia like holding an umbrella for him.
Yeah, I mean,
like
all the time that he spent as a walk-around guy. Remember those NFL meetings where it was Patricia's job to get Bill to the photo, or Bill here or Bill there?
And in fairness to Lombardi, and listeners have pointed this out, Lombardi is making like much more at $1 million than most guys in his position. But I will ask you this. As a NFL man who has front office experience and fancies himself an expert, is 10 years of being made fun of and acting like a fool worth $2 million? That averages out to $100,000 a year. That for 10 years he was a punchline in a punching bag, and now he gets $1 million?
He doesn't think, he thinks we're the fools.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And I can't think of, I can see having a mentor, which I think is great to have. I want my kids to have mentors too. But like a contemporary who you just kiss their ass, I mean, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. And I get he's making $1 million, but he had to be making, I don't know, well under six figures with his media fiascos. And now, for 10 years of that, he gets $1 million. I mean, this is a guy that was a bigwig in the NFL, right? I don't think the ends justify the means.
I think Michael Lombardi has been blessed with blindness to what is reality and what isn't,
which is very frustrating to me.
Yes,
but I'm almost envious.
I agree with Hardy. I think he thinks that the rest of us don't get it.
Then why is he not the GM of an NFL team or involved in the league in some high-powered
Because he'd
situation?
only work for the almighty powerful Bill Belichick.
Well, then he can't think very much of himself. If he can only work for Belichick, then he can't. Why is Belichick so much better than him? You understand? Like, why isn't he the guy?
Bill's won all those Super Bowls, Fred. He's solely responsible for everything.
That's my fault for getting us back on Lombardi. Let's see what Jim and Bill have to say.
All right.
Because you can tell that these questions were not posed before the interview. It sounds as natural as
How dare you?
It sounds as
How dare
natural
you?
as a old martial art film voiceover.
Is there a possibility that at some point, if something came along, you would go back to the National Football League? Have you left the door open?
No.
I'll never go back to the NFL.
No one bothers.
I hope
when
you
I'm 80.
Fast forward through the answer. Let's just go to
when
the-
I'm 80, I'll be too old.
Christ.
You would go back to the National Football League? Have you left the door open?
Jim, you know I don't discuss contracts.
Forget the contract. Have you left the door open?
You work for a public university, douchebag. Of course you have to. We know your contract, you moron. The taxpayers of North Carolina are part in the hole for that garbage.
That perhaps at some point in your life you'll be back in the National Football League.
No, I'm here at North Carolina. I want to be at Carolina, and I'm excited about being at Carolina.
Except for when you ask for the Jets job.
Except when you put that clause in your contract giving you a minimum buyout after June 1st.
Why did... I don't understand why no one can admit when they fail. Because everyone fails. The great stories are triumphing in the face of failure. And he had so much success. That doesn't change. I don't want to be 73 and lying about my career. It's very frightening to me. Is it not frightening to you that you can have all that success, get a job that's $10 million a year, and still spin it like you're not a loser that tried to get a bunch of jobs? Just say, yeah, I couldn't get a job in the NFL. Well, how would that make him look any worse? It makes him look 1,000 times worse that we know. What do you think? That it was never going to get out that he asked for the Jet job? That was never going to get, that he thought that was all done behind the scenes? No one holds a secret like Bill. You don't think Woody Johnson, the minute that happened, called everyone and said, can you believe this dick thinks that I'm going to hire him after all this stuff he said, this old man, with all this failure in the rearview mirror? Oof.
Coach, we've got David Letterman coming up. He's going to make us laugh, the great David Letterman. But, all right, Coach, we've got David Letterman, so everybody stay with us. You know, it's not just football season, it's wedding season, too. Trust the experts at Jared Jewelers.
I mean, it couldn't be more of a JV operation.
He's going to make us laugh.
He's going to make us laugh. And nothing a comedian likes more than he's going to make us laugh before an interview. That's your audience that you got to make laugh? The two most humorless people in the history of the world?
He's going to make us laugh?
Well, I mean, obviously that interview with Letterman made a lot of news because we all knew it was coming.
Hey!
He's going to make us laugh?
This is what he does for a living.
Do you think he has? I'm asking seriously. Do you think he has a producer, or is he just doing this all himself?
No.
So he's figured out how to like rig up his mics and to rig up Zoom and all that. Because like I can't imagine even like an entry level producer wouldn't like, hey, you know, Jim, maybe we do it in this order, or maybe you tease like this and we do the reads here, or
no. He has a way of. This sounds like an old, not the audio quality, which is terrible. So obviously it's not going through Sirius, but what he has experience in like the late 80s of doing this because it sounds very Paul Harvey-esque.
Sure.
And so what he did is he said, again, he's a guy whose value is he is friends with people far better than him. So he said, I have this relationship with Tom Brady. I'm going to create a thing with him because no one's giving me the money I think I deserve. And I'm going to buy the time on Sirius and sell my own advertising, and
right,
here I will
money back, yeah.
make all this money, and obviously there's no way.
No.
There's no way. There's no
Jim,
way
you know
anyone
I don't
listens
discuss
to it.
contracts.
There's no way that anyone enjoys it. There's no way. We're having David Letterman on, and he's going to make us laugh. That's a professional broadcaster. Hey, everyone, comedian's going to come on. He's going to make us laugh. Hey, everyone, we have some sick elderly people. They're all going to make us cry. What an intro. What a talent. I'm surprised he was such a dick. Two horrible people having a wonderful conversation with each other.
And I'm one of them.
Yep, and you're one of them. Can't just say I couldn't get a job in the NFL. If I get fired from this station, I'll go. I got fired from the station. I got fired from the station. And if it takes me 10 months to get a job somewhere, I'll go. It took me 10 months to get a job somewhere. What's the harm in that? In fact, people will like you more. I swear to God. What is the point? Everyone ebbs and flows in life. No one leads a perfect life. That's a boring person. The great stories have highs and lows and twists and turns. Life isn't perfect. You can't control everything. Let's go. Let's go.
Twists
All right.
and turns.
Let's go.
That's
Hey,
right.
we're
It's
back,
like the witching
everybody.
hour.
Here we go.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment with our
Thanks, Jim.
award-winning.
Thank you.
Yeah, with our award-winning email segment.
Seldom right and never wrong.
Right here. Is that Dutcher or is that Target?
I know, looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Yeah. Sorry, John and I are discussing golf courses in the Caribbean. Not that either one of us has a lot of experience with it, but if you've played it too, you figure you're that gives you a license to talk about it for minutes on end. I don't know where Fred is. Maybe he's taking his time off.
He's recording some live reads for next week.
Oh, all right. Well, let's get to the emails here.
Right. Most of them are directed at Fred too about his story from yesterday. That was we still
okay.
Have,
you have one there to start us off?
Hang on. Yes, this is from Eric. I think Fred's in the wrong here. Obviously, one of your kids was the culprit. Maybe you showed some form of disapproval, calling one of them out in front of the driver, or at least tell them whoever's doing to stop, because it's gross. The driver would have been a little bit more understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told my son, I was talking to him, I picked him up yesterday. I was talking to him. I'm like, I told the story, and there are all these people, getting on me about it and, justifying it. The other guy, and he's like, yeah, what did you think was going to happen? My son gets it. He's like, yeah, he goes, you didn't know that was going to happen? He's like, anyone who reaches out to you is going to be a total unrealistic dick about it. So I said, you're right, Marlo.
This kid,
congratulations.
This email, this guy, I imagine this guy wagging his finger at you when he typed this. You can't let your kids fart in the car without reprimanding them.
I didn't say my kids farted in the car, by the way. That's all speculation.
And then instead go after the driver with a sarcastic joke and expect to come out like you're the good guy. Come on.
I didn't come out like I'm the good guy. He threatened to beat me up and said he was going to come back to my house to beat me up. And he kept the window down on a 26-degree day for half an hour. For a literal half an hour. And yes, I was displeased with that. So when we stopped the ride, I said, hey, thanks for keeping the window down the whole time. And then, yes, he started screaming and swearing at me about one of my children, in his belief, farting.
And then slammed the doors so hard on his car that it fell off the hinges.
All this, my son, the conversation I had with my son, put it all in perspective. If my 16-year-old son, who's never been in media, realizes how asinine this crap is, I'm not going to give it neither heads nor tails. That story is over. I'm glad I could share it with you. It killed a lot of time of the show during the holiday book. And now it is over. Ben DeCastro, everyone loves Ben.
There you go.
As John has not gone to the window today. John and I were discussing this off air.
That's right.
I feel bad for calling him out on it so many times because I know John so desperately wants to longingly look out the window, but he's not allowing himself because he's too self-conscious about it. I do kind of feel bad. I honestly do because I know you do want to go over there.
Yeah, and
I wouldn't even make fun of you for it. Who I am going to make fun of is Nick. I'll tell you why. No big deal. Hardy and I gave cards to the staff,
right?
To the backroom staff.
Yep.
John, we didn't give one to you. Hardy and I didn't exchange gifts. That's the deal.
It's fine.
Well, what we're doing. We give it to the guys in the back.
Yeah.
Ryan, beautiful text message to me, thanking me.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, who Hardy and I've been friends with for decades, no need to, says thank you for the card.
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas, radio silence.
Really?
Did you hear anything from Nicholas?
No, he thanked me this morning when I came in. But
wouldn't you open the card and read like a nice Christmas message and then say, "Oh, right back at you"?
I noticed the absence.
Yeah, you did. I was going to see how you're going to play that.
Yeah,
but I know you.
Oh, here comes Nick.
Listen, I'm sorry. I did not. Thank you guys.
No need to apologize.
Very much.
No need to apologize. It's not even the thank you. Obviously, I don't care. I did know that Hardy would notice, and I did notice too.
And
I didn't even know Ryan had my number. Ryan had probably asked Adam for my number because I don't have Ryan's number. So he probably had to ask Adam for my number.
What was
Yesterday was kind of a crazy day for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it was so easy for me.
Here we go.
What happened to you?
Did something bad happen to you yesterday?
Well, no. Well, we ran out of oil at the house, and there was no hot. It was cold.
All right. Well, then, yeah, my day was just as bad as yours.
There was no hot. So is a hot.
You have to drive 25 miles out to pick up your son in some abandoned parking lot at 8 o'clock at night when you get up at 4:45 in the morning.
Did you have to stand
every day?
Did you have to stand there and watch the oil truck when they showed up at your house?
No. I had to use. They're coming today, so I had to go get
So what? How did yesterday play out then?
Because I had to place the order and then I had to go to the gas station. I had a bunch of other things, but one of the things I had to do was go to the gas station, get diesel fuel, and fill up the tank.
Well, I had to fill my gas up in my car.
I know. I'm sorry. I was waiting for an opportunity to do it in person. And I apologize.
It's not that you didn't say anything, and you don't have to apologize. It's that your day was so chaotic because you ran out of oil. That I don't get. Was the house very cold?
It was cold. It's not very well insulated.
How's Noah? Is he okay?
He's a popsicle now, but he'll be fine. He'll thaw in March.
Well, child services, I hope doesn't listen. All right, thank you, Nicholas. You're very welcome. What a kind thing that we did for you. Here is our friend Ben. This is the last day that Walk's here, so he made up a song, "The Last Day of Walmus." All right,
You want to sing it?
I'll just sing it to myself. I don't need any background. On the last day of Walmus, the eagle gave to me 12 bottles of Windex. I guess that's a window joke. 11 Sports Hub updates, 10 jokes to stepped on, 9 hooded sweatshirts, 8 MLB hats. That's not fair because some of them are cracking. 7 times
the Fresno State in there too.
7 times the volume. 6 misconnections. 5 crotch scratches. 4 microphones, 3 rejection letters, 2 religion shunned, and 1 ear that stopped working long ago. That is from our friend Ben.
2 religion shunned.
Just
That's
one.
good.
Just Judaism.
I could tell John was in a good mood when I came in this morning. I mean, normally we don't speak hardly at all. We both sit here and still are tired silence, just working on stuff. But he was a real chatty Cathy this morning. You're raring to go.
Everyone likes getting off for the holidays.
Did you tell Fred?
I agree.
What's going on Monday?
I told him last Friday, yes. When you were not here, Fred is aware.
Yeah.
I have a Celtic game that I am doing.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you should announce that. Yeah,
Yes.
John's doing the Celtics game on Monday.
23rd. Live from Orlando.
Not a bad place.
Not bad at all.
Fred, here's one from Cam. I had jury duty last week. I was excused, so I can say this. The judge sounded just like Fred's foot fetish guy.
Yes.
I was wondering if Fred could talk like a judge in the foot fetish guy voice.
Yes. All may rise and remove your stilettos and approach the bench. Bailiff, if you could please, I need to closely inspect these feet to make sure everything is on the level.
I've never been called for jury duty before. Is this normal?
Why would you say that out loud?
Yes, if you, I'm calling a recess, all of us to the bathroom. And I have to make sure there's no shenanigans, so no stall doors shall be closed. Yes, the plaintiff may now call me garbage. The room is an open forum of which to degrade me.
Kind of an odd twist for a judge in Chambers.
Mm-hmm.
Matt in Shirley has an F, Mary, kill for you, Fred. Sean Grandy, Jim Gray, and James Corden.
Ooh, good call.
So
I like those 3.
Okay, put yourself in a position where you would have sex with Mary.
Okay, so it's people. Grandy, Corden, and whom?
Jim Gray.
Okay, I don't think Grandy's a bad guy. I just thought it was weird. I think he annoys me sometimes when he calls the game, so I would marry Sean Grandy.
Okay.
I don't have anything personally against him.
Sure.
Right? James Corden, as is my only weird skill, I can tell if someone is a piece of garbage pretending not to be. It's almost a curse, like a photographic memory can be. James Corden, I would have, and I would kill Jim Gray. As Jim Gray tried to get me fired actively for having the gumption to tell him I didn't enjoy the interview and to stop looking at me weird. He actually called Westwood One as if they had anything to do with anything. Oh, because Mike Thomas's brother worked there,
right?
And got on the case to try to get me removed.
How about that, Jim? An F, Mary, kill.
And I'm one of them.
That's right.
That's right. No, for sure. If I heard Jim Gray died,
I would not be displeased. I would just be like, oh.
Thanks, Jim.
I would
Thank
be
you.
sad if Grandy died, and James Corden, I don't really care. I just knew he was a phony baloney.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of my deal with Belichick, too. A bit of the phony baloney. And no need to spin things. Just everything's fine. Everyone loves you here. You just stay, you tell the truth. Caller number 10, did I do this already or no? Okay. To the contest line, 617-931-0985. Will score a $50 gift card and a pair of tubing passes for Neshoba Valley Ski Area. Skiing, tubing, dining, dancing, and celebrating by the fireplace at Boston's own winter playland, Neshoba Valley Ski Area in Westford. Get your gift cards for the holidays at skineshoba.com. That is the way that is going. And when we come back, we will have the stack, and then we will bid adieu to Wallach, who you will hear on the 23rd calling.
could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Yo! Baby. We'll get you a limo to come to the station. I know your legs hurt. We'll get you a limo. No.
You're talking about
The
Arthur P.
Arthur, what was his Penn
Hollow.
Penn Hollow. Yeah, he was. We had a program director that was assistant programmer at WRIF. The guy was making $1 million a year, talking to 12 songs, playing 12 songs an hour. And I can relate. He didn't want to come into work. And one time he's like, my legs hurt and I can't come in. And they're like, all right, Arthur, well, you got to come in. He's like, no, my leg, And they're like, all right, well, we'll get you a limo. And there's silence. No. The Stack is brought to you by D'Angelo Grilled Sandwiches. Have lunch with a legend this week. D'Angelo's legendary number 9 sandwich. Grilled sirloin and chicken smothered in onions, peppers, mushrooms, and American cheese, only at D'Angelo.
Didn't Maz have the limo thing? Maz
Yeah,
tore his Achilles, and they brought the limo for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, and I always felt bad for him tearing his Achilles in that game at the Garden. That
Globetrotters.
That people,
right?
the media versus whatever. But then he did this paper bag thing with the pits on it. And now I don't feel so bad that he ripped that up.
All right, for those people who were not listening earlier,
It was against Dana Barros.
Oh, it was against Dana.
I think
thought it was
I think he was
Globetrotters.
trying to cross over Dana Barros.
Always a smart thing.
Yeah, I don't know why he wouldn't even play on the Garden. Like, you've been there so many times. Like, who cares? Like, better off just not playing. Yeah, he's got some dumb thing. I have it up at Fred Toucher on Instagram. He's got some dumb bag, which isn't funny in itself. But then he wrote the pits on it, which I feel is bad for everyone because it's slang from the 50s and it's hard enough in radio. And then he displayed it like a trophy, like he's so proud of it. And it's really, really not funny.
So your point was it reflects badly on all of us, but it's the unwillingness to connect with the people we're trying to connect with, ages 25 to 54. That bag and that slogan connects with people that are 74 and older.
And then Hardy was, being smart ass and stuff. And I said, all right, well, how would you feel if someone who was funny that you respected was a guest and came into the studio and saw that?
So Bill Burr was the one where it really caught me. I'm like, oh, if I knew Bill Burr was coming in, I would hide that. And then I thought of John Mulaney also,
John Mulaney be 100 times worse than Bill Burr because there might be a chance Bill Burr leans into like, hey, I'm from Boston.
Right.
Mulaney comes in and Mulaney and Kroll come in and see that.
Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah, so, it's bad. So if and my point to Hardy was if that would give you douche chills, which it is, it's literally giving him douche chills.
It is.
You have to assume that people like that are watching at all times. You can say something or do a bit that's not funny.
Yeah.
That's going to happen to everyone, and everyone can relate to that. Like when you're entertaining, not everything's gonna be funny. This is a catastrophe and a real embarrassment.
John Wallach is leaving after the show today, and we thought we would do something nice for John as a send-off. So, John, as a means to get you out of here, because we know you want to go, we came up with an idea. It's a quiz.
Oh, boy. Okay.
For every question that you get right on this quiz, you get to leave 1 minute early.
Because we are your bosses.
Right.
By the way, this was Adam and Hardy's idea.
From the appointed end of the show, which is 9:55.
Now, this is in the spirit of when Nicholas was just hanging on to his job as an intern at WBCN because he wanted to go to the screening of The Dark Knight. And for good reason, despised me. He should have. I was a total dick to him. And
but that ain't you no more.
Not like I was. And I'd say me and Nicholas have a very good relationship, but we made him play Operation until he could leave. And that was my idea.
I got a very shaky hand. I don't know. I would.
No. He kept, and he was getting so pissed.
Oh yeah.
And it was pretty funny.
I'd be horrible at that game. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Let's see it.
John, this is from the Mass Audubon Society.
Okay.
Test your raptor knowledge.
All right.
For every question you get right,
yep,
you get to leave
this
a minute
multiple
early.
choice.
Multiple choice.
Excellent.
What's the fastest known raptor? Is it the bald eagle? Is it the peregrine falcon? Is it the Cooper's hawk? or the American kestrel?
Well, I think the eagle is in there trying to misdirect me a little bit. I'm going to go falcon. I think the falcon is the fastest. Yeah!
Reaching speeds of 200 miles per hour in its hunting dive 1 minute early for Wallach. True or false?
Yes.
50-50 chance.
I mean, you
on
could
this
just
one.
leave now, and really, there's nothing we could do about it.
Shush.
True or false?
Like, what are we going to do? My God.
Both male and female Cooper's hawks are the same size.
Oh, that's true.
Oh man!
I bet you the females are bigger.
That is correct. The females are larger than the males.
That's why it's a trivia question, so it makes
Damn
ladies
it.
feel good.
So close.
John, what kind of specialized vision do raptors have? Is it thermal imaging? Is it compound eyes? Is it monocular vision or binocular vision?
Well, monocular vision, I'm playing too. Monocular vision wouldn't be.
It's just
like a benefit, right?
No, it wouldn't. Wait, go through that
Thermal
again.
imaging.
Yeah.
Nah.
Compound eyes.
Yeah, that sounds like something.
Monocular vision or binocular vision, which is where the both left and right eye can focus on a single object.
Oh, so it's either 2 or 4. That's all I can
I'll say the last one.
Binocular vision. Gets to leave 2 minutes. Now gets to leave at 9:53.
All right.
True or false? Raptors engage in courtship rituals to woo their mates.
Oh, that's true.
say. Yeah.
Wow. Jeez.
I mean, he knows that for a fact because it happened to him.
Hang on, I got to log out of things here.
And when I say it happened to him, I'm not kidding. A hawk or eagle or something.
Yeah.
One of a hawk, right? Was it a hawk or an eagle?
No, it was a hawk.
A hawk landed on his car in the parking lot at the station. His car, out of all the cars, and it wasn't 5 in the morning. It was like 10 a.m.
In 2 different buildings.
And then in another building, it came and tried to F him out in front of the building, and we sent him down, and the thing wouldn't leave him alone.
He was standing on the roof of my car.
That is.
We're not making this up. That actually happened.
That is like a godshot situation. All right, I'm talking into the bit. Go ahead.
True or false? Raptors' eyes are so large there's barely any room for muscles that control eye movements.
Oh, that's true.
Knows his birds.
Well, I mean, if he gets another one right, I mean, he's
You got
already.
it.
He
It's
could,
lights out, baby.
You
Yeah, he
already
could leave right now.
You could technically leave right now.
How many times sharper is the vision of a red-tailed hawk than that of a human? 3, 4, 6, or 8 times?
8 times.
Oh, my God. Bye, Wally.
See ya.
Have a great vacation.
That's a walk-off right there.
He's got to technically work on the 23rd. By the way, I was giving Nick a hard time about not texting us about the beautiful cards that we gave the staff yesterday. And then he sent us a very uncomfortable thank you.
Yeah, I saw that what it was, and I didn't read it.
No, neither did I, because it was making me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like now, it's like now I have to say something. It's like when your kids throw a fit, and then they realize like they got to come back and go.
Right.
We're not bad. All right.
John's
leaving.
What are we going to do without Wallach here?
Just. Well, yeah, let's see. So John's leaving the studio. Remember when we gave Sarge the keys to the kingdom, and he just talked about how we were leaving for 5 minutes?
Well said, though.
All right, Jonathan. Have a wonderful Christmas with your family. And on the 23rd, John will be doing the Celtics game in Orlando. You can hear that here. And Jonathan, all the best. And everyone loves John. There goes John. He actually left.
He's really leaving.
He's really leaving. It's because he was too self-conscious to go up to the window and touch himself like he normally does. He really left.
He
couldn't
left.
wait to get out of here that badly. Like there's no part of him that enjoys this at all. Like it sucks coming in, but like once you're in, like you're with your friends and everything, so it's like it's fun. And then but not for John. John just left. That just leaves the real talents.
Good for him. He did the bit, you know?
No, I don't begrudge him leaving.
I've been sitting on that thing for like 2 months.
And it also wasn't our, we really can't tell him when he can leave and not leave,
True.
as we're not his bosses. That is a fact.
There's something that I wanted to investigate with 12 later this week because it sounds like something you might be able to attend, but it's too good and you're not going to be here, Fred. You're not going to be here on Friday.
Right.
Front Porch Arts has returned with more classic black sitcom readings. These are table reads that's put together by the Front Porch Art Collective, a black-led theater company. It's been around for, 8-10 years now. And someone had the idea that they would sit down and do table reads of scripts from sitcoms.
Like Homeboys in Outer Space.
Or Urkel. It's an opportunity to see actors in a different light, to see what their version of Steve Urkel from Family Matters or Florence from the Jefferson looks like.
Okay, why would you do a table read? That takes away all the funny. Like 90% of what would be funny about you lampooning a bad sitcom would be the physicality
Be
of
acting
your,
it out.
Yeah, and like your face and everything else.
Last
Just reading
December-
the script, that's who cares?
Maybe they're thinking of approaching it like I know a lot of popular podcasts tour now, and they literally will just sit on stage like in round table.
So
Maybe that's
two
the
podcast tour.
Maybe that's the.
But this is right up your alley. Some of these,
But I would check that out. I mean, it's interesting.
Well, some of these sitcoms. Okay, last December they did staged readings of Christmas episodes from 3 classic sitcoms: 227, Girlfriends, and Living Single.
I don't know what Girlfriends is.
I don't know that one either.
This year they're doing 4 from the Jeffersons, Amen, A Different World, and Family Matters.
Amen was a real disaster.
That was Sherman Helmsley's second
Yes.
sitcom. There,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
and Amen was one of those things. I know why it was made. It was like when Tom Joyner, the black radio host, would come into Atlanta, and you'd like, why is he selling out this like 10,000 seats like place with like Earth, Wind, and Fire playing? And you'd be like, there's all these like older black people that are like super into this,
Yep.
and that's what Amen was. And that's why Tyler Perry came from the stages of black theater in Atlanta and then decided to indie a movie out, and now he's one of these high-flying bigwigs.
That's right.
Just like John, who's gone.
Who's in tomorrow for John?
Matt McCarthy is going to be joining us tomorrow and Thursday.
Oh, my heaven.
This is delicious.
This is too delicious to sit on anymore. It's hot stove season, and we're serving up some Matt McCarthy. All right, well, that should be interesting. We have Matt McCarthy in tomorrow, who I awkwardly have to tell that I actually like, and I'm making sport of him out of
It
love.
can't be any more awkward than Nick's text. Oh, boy.
No, I won't even ever. That will never be read. That will literally never be read. It is just such awkward socialization. to immediately after getting called out for not texting us, to text us.
We're right here.
I know, Jesus Christ, Nick. All right, and we didn't care. It wasn't like we expected it. It was just funny that Adam, that we've known for 20 years, did it, and you didn't. That's just funny. But Nick, I've known you for almost 20 years, so look at us all getting old. I mean, Adolfo's in his 30s. That'll do it for us. Everyone have a great